The world is talking about coronavirus, but it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions like, who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65. People with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes. People undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
It didn't matter that it was Game 6. It didn't matter that we had our backs against the wall. If we didn't win Game 6, there was not going to be a Game 7. None of that mattered. It was just another baseball game.
Baltimore was probably more confident when they was in Pittsburgh up 3-1. And after we won that, to change it to 3-2, I think that the confidence was shaken.
Everybody gave the Orioles the opportunity, the best opportunity to win the game. They were at home. Surely, teams generally don't blow 3 games to 1 lead.
When we're down 3-1 and we're coming back and you sense that we're coming back, when you have time to reflect on it at breakfast before you get ready to go to the ballpark for a 7 o'clock game, you say to yourself, well, yeah, this is pretty special. This is something that I can tell my grandkids about. This is something that becomes part of your life.
ABC Sports presents exclusive coverage of the 1979 World Series. Live from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Game 6 between the National League champion Pittsburgh Pirates, the American League champion Baltimore Orioles, and the Pirates comb Baltimore pitching on Sunday for a 7-1 victory to send the series back to Baltimore. Right-hander Bert Blyleven pitching in relief of surprise starter Jim Rooker was brilliant. 4 innings, 3 hits and no runs, and got the win. The hitting stars were Tim Foley and Bill Madlock. Foley 2 hits, 3 runs batted in. Madlock 4 for 4. And now it's time for game number 6.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineups for tonight's game. First, the National League champion, Pittsburgh Pirates. Manager, Chuck Tanner. The leadoff hitter, center fielder, Omar Marino. Batting second, shortstop, Tim Foley. Hitting in the third position, right fielder, Dave Parker. The cleanup hitter, first baseman, Willie Stargell. In the 5th spot, left fielder, John Milner. Batting 6th, third baseman, Bill Madlock. Hitting 7th, catcher, Ed Ott. The 8th place hitter, second baseman, Phil Garner. Batting 9th and warming up in the bullpen, pitcher John Candelaria. The rest of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And now for your American League champion, Baltimore Orioles. Manager, Earl Weaver. Batting first, shortstop, Kiko Garcia. In the second spot, left fielder, Benny Ayala. Hitting third, right fielder, Ken Singleton. The fourth place hitter, first baseman, Eddie Murray. Batting fifth, third baseman, Doug DeCinces. In the sixth position, center fielder, Gary Renicky. Hitting seventh, second baseman, Rich Dower. Batting eighth, catcher, Rick Dempsey. In the ninth position, and warming up in a bullpen, pitcher, Jim Palmer. The remainder of the Baltimore Orioles. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to honor America with our national anthem, which will be sung by world-famous opera star Robert Merrill from the center field bandstand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, those broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? O'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the fight that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave?
It wouldn't seem like a World Series unless we heard Robert Merrill at least once singing the national anthem. And he made the trip down to see game number 6, and we'll all be watching it in just a few moments from Memorial Stadium.
The '79 season was not a cakewalk. This is a team, it took a long while for it to find its way. It was not a wire-to-wire team. It didn't speed off and say, hey, come and catch me. They were behind much of the season, and they began to catch fire, not uncoincidentally, with some of the additions they made.
We'd been a team that had been down 10 to 12 games to Montreal, to Philadelphia, midway through the season. We mounted a huge comeback all year long, and we'd won a bunch of games late in the inning, late comeback games. We'd won a bunch of games in the ninth inning. So we had this mentality that down but never out.
Hey fans, this is Pirates manager Derek Shelton from my home in St. Pete Beach, Florida. Even though we are not playing right now, it is very important to be part of the stay home team. It is very important for our healthcare workers that you stay home, you stay healthy, you stay safe. Thank you very much.
As a doctor, I agree with CDC guidance. I recommend topical pain relievers first, like Salonpas Patch Large. It's powerful, FDA approved to relieve moderate pain, yet non-addictive and gentle on the body.
Salonpas, it's good medicine.
The world is talking about coronavirus, but it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions, like who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
The Pirates, even though they up until that point had won just one World Series, it might be argued, was maybe the most successful team in the National League. They had been in the playoffs back in the day when the playoffs weren't as expanded as they are now. They certainly were competitive every year. They had fought in 76, 77, and especially in 78 to make the playoffs. They fell short. 78, an epic battle with the Philadelphia Phillies, who was their arch rival at that time. But they'd been very competitive, a team that obviously had been in the playoffs in the early 70s, and a team that always contended for the playoffs virtually every year. On top of that, these Pirates were a Pittsburgh-type team.
We tried to reflect what the city of Pittsburgh was about, you know, hard-working, dedicated people. Off the field, we were a big family. You know, guys genuinely cared about each other, and you know, just wasn't the season, you know, guys kept in touch in the off season as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we turn your attention to the commissioner's box located between home plate and the Orioles dugout for tonight's ceremonial first pitch. This woman has devoted her life to helping youth baseball in the Baltimore area, coaching and counseling for more than 25 years. Ms. Mary Dopkin. Okay, Mary, it's your pitch.
Okay, Mary, fire away.
All right, Mary Dopkin, in her moment, she'll remember on for years to come right-hander Jim Palmer, starting pitcher for Baltimore. In a game like this, where the heat is on in the kitchen, wisdom so important. A little while ago, Howard talked with the Baltimore starter.
Jim, after throwing hard the first 2 innings, getting slugged for 2 runs in the second, you changed your pitching pattern. You mixed things up. Will that be the pattern from the start tonight?
Well, not really, Howard. You know, I had 9 days off before that started, and I went out there, and in the first inning, I went 2-2 in Marino, and, you know, I just threw him a strike, and he got a base hit, not hit very hard, and I got out of that inning on a bad base running mistake by him. And then in the second inning, I went 2-2 on Stargell, and I think the first hitter of any inning is the most important. I didn't want to walk him. He hit a good 2-2 pitch. The next 2 were right down the middle, and I think when you pitch to a guy like Milner and a guy like Bill Madlock, perennial batting champ in the National League, you can't throw the ball down the middle. I changed speeds later. I threw a lot of high fastballs. And I was watching the video cassette replay that I had, and I was very pleased the way I pitched the last 5 innings. I did change speeds a little bit more, but I primarily went with my fastball, and I still have to establish my fastball to be successful. But tonight, I'm going to go out there and pitch primarily the same way I did last time. I'm just not going to try to throw the ball in the middle of the plate as much.
Jim Palmer making his walk in from the bullpen, and the crowd is roaring. .61 degrees, a very comfortable evening for a World Series game number 6. The batting order that Jim Palmer will be facing tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, Chuck Tanner going to as many left-handers as he can get in there. Omar Moreno will lead it off. You'll see that John Milner is playing left field and hitting behind Willie Stargell. Ed Ott is back at the plate tonight. He swings from the left side. And, of course, we're still looking at Dave Parker and at Willie Stargell as the power men. Now the Baltimore Orioles wearing the home white coming onto the field. And starting in left field for Baltimore is Benny Ayala. He's out there for a very definite reason. One, he's healthy. And two, he hit a 2-run home run off Candelaria in game number 3. In center field, Gary Renicky, also healthy and a right-handed swinger. In right field, you have Ken Singleton, who will switch and go from the right side, and he says he sometimes has more power from the right side than from the left. Moving to the inner defense, it is Doug DeCinces. They're talking with Pittsburgh coach Joe Lynette. Steady Doug at third. At shortstop, Kiko Garcia. Howard mentioned him as a possible MVP. He has a sore lower back and a very tender hamstring. At second base tonight, hitting from the right side, is young Rich Dower, who can be very troublesome with the bat. Over at first base, another switch hitter, Eddie Murray, and it doesn't seem to make much difference from which side of the plate Eddie swings. Back of the plate is a guy who has been so impressive during this World Series and all season long, Rick Dempsey. And on the mound, Jim Palmer. The umpires tonight, I think, become something of a story, just as they did the other night in Game 2 when Jim Palmer was on the mound. Again tonight, you have a National League umpire behind the plate. It didn't really feel, to sitting at a distance, that it made that much difference having a National Leaguer back there. However, I suspect there were some low strikes that Jim Palmer thought he might have gotten, but didn't, from Bob Engel. Jerry Newdecker at first, Engel at second, Russ Getz down at third, Terry Tater on the left field line, and Jim McKean down the right field line. And here are the dimensions of Memorial Stadium. You'll see it's short, straight down the line. Falls away to 405 in center. The field is in very good condition, considering the fact that the Colts and Oilers played football here Sunday afternoon. Ball is rolling along very well during the batting practice. The turf is quite firm. And here is Omar Moreno, who is 5 for 23 in the series. He has scored only 2 runs. And I think that's a very important thing to consider. And the other night against Jim Palmer in this ballpark, he got on base, but then ran himself into a double play, rather carelessly. The umpires walking about. The left fielder, Benny Ayala, coming in from left field position to talk to Terry Tater about something.
Well, Ayala right now, as he talks with Tater, they're getting the band. They're moving them out into their regular position out there in the bleachers, and I don't think it could be that what they're talking about. It could be that there is a hole in the fence in left field right under the 385 marker where the padding is out. Now what that might be, I don't know. They have a cameraman out there right below our ABC camera out in left center field, and what that could be, I don't know. It's not a television. No, that is not our camera. That is a film camera that's out there, and I don't know what they might be doing about that. They might be making a move just a little bit.
They want him back probably, because it looks like he's set up pretty close to the fence. And Renicky, with his height and leaping ability, that's exactly what it is, because they want him to move him back. It's a Major League's film camera, and if Renicky had to go up over the wall and reach for a ball at that point, then he conceivably could have trouble with the camera. And after the football game down in the Cotton Bowl, having watched the Oklahoma starting right in run into a film cameraman and cut open his forehead, I can see why they're being pretty gingerly about it.
That's Sue Palmer. She's a veteran of this kind of tension. Not as vibrant in her emotions, not as outgoing as some of the other wives.
Big deal in the Palmer family last night was Jim's 34th birthday.
can't figure out why the cameraman has the audacity to argue with the umpires.
Well, you can't have anything that's going to overlap onto the field. There's no question about that, because these fences right here, they're certainly within play. And we've seen Al Bunbury throughout the course of years go up, and he goes up over that wall. It's certainly reachable, and that's what they're doing. They're making that cameraman, that film crew, move back. And we're about ready to go.
As Omar Moreno steps in to be followed by Tim Foley and Dave Parker. It's put-up time for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Baltimore leading 3-2. The first sign flashed by Rick Dempsey, and it's a fastball over the middle and into center field for a base hit, and Moreno is aboard. He of flashing speed. When coming into this series, came in with 18 consecutive stolen bases.
But as I said earlier, he's been stifled, they all have, by Rick Dempsey. Let's see if he goes down.
Number 10. Well, they had a lot of stolen bases on the year. They stole 188 bases on the year, but they have not been able to do anything against Dempsey right here. He has contained him, and also the Orioles staff has contained him. They haven't given him much of a chance to run.
They feel like they have picked up tendencies by Moreno and others on the bases. They feel they know when he's going. He and Matt Alexander, who is the designated base stealer for Pittsburgh. Now time is called as Eddie Murray comes to the mound, and he'll have a conversation with Jim Palmer about just how they want to handle this circumstance.
Well, they've got the perfect man up, the Bucks do, Tim Foley. He's an excellent hit-and-run hitter. We've suggested that he's a superb contact hitter. He has not struck out in his last 159 trips to the plate.
They give Foley room in left center field. He hits the ball over DeCince's glove, off the glove, kicking into foul ground. Moreno is headed for third base, and he'll hold there, and Foley stands at second base with a double.
Well, they don't waste any time. They come right out swinging it. Round one. Moreno's going in a high chopper, and DeCince just gets a glove on it. That's about it. Now by the time that they run it down, it goes over by the tarp. There's no chance of getting Moreno going to third, and Foley's at second, and the Pirates threaten very early.
And you've said, and everybody says, if you're going to get Palmer, you've got to get him early.
You've got to. Jim just gets stronger and stronger, and I'll tell you, if you don't get him through about the first 4 or 5, you might not get him at all.
Here is Dave Parker with 9 hits and 21 trips to the plate. But a lot of those hits have not been terribly productive. It's been a problem. Pittsburgh's had 61 hits, but not with great efficiency until the Sunday game. Nobody out. Moreno at third. And Foley at second in game number 6, and it's hit down the left side. Great play by DeCince.
That was a really great play by Doug DeCince. That's the way DeCince can field. He's had some bad moments in this series, but there you saw the young man who was reminding people of Brooks Robbins.
And he slices that ball down the line. DeCince, a great play going to the line. Parker really takes a heavy spill at first base. But DeCince comes up in a good, strong throw, but look at the effort by Parker, hitting the bag. And the throw just does nip him, but he takes a heavy spill after he goes across the bag.
Now it is 1 out with Willie Stargell at the plate. Remarkable reflexes by DeCince. The big guy with his speed made it close. Fly ball will bring 1 home. Base hit will bring 2 home, and Willie pops him up to the infield. In foul ground, DeCince coming in. 2 out. Oh, what a big turn of events. The 2 muscle men in the Pirate order, batters 3 and 4, Parker and Stargell. And the Pirates are looking at that first pitch, figuring Palmer, who loves to get ahead of the hitter, is going to come with that high fastball, and so far it has not been rewarding to Parker and Stargell nor the Pirates.
That's the 7th time in this series that Willie, with runners in scoring position, has failed to connect. This is a tough hitter.
John Milner.
The hammer.
Milner has 3 hits and 6 trips to the plate. 1 run batted in. 2 down now and 2 on, and the pitch to Milner is inside.
Well, it doesn't take you long to figure out what the opposition is going to do. Moreno hit the first pitch. Foley hit the first pitch. Parker hit the first pitch. Stargell hit the first pitch, and right there you see Palmer come inside to Milner just to move him back off the plate.
Jimmy's last pitch, 90 miles per hour. So he's firing it pretty good.
Strike called on the inside corner.
That's where he wants to pitch him, Keith. Retaining his power.
Boy, it's got to be a major disappointment if they get Milner here without getting anybody across the plate after getting Marino around to third and Foley to second.
He's not out of it yet, but this young man never wavers. 34 years of age yesterday. Without question, one of the great pitchers of our time.
Bends him away with a high, tight fastball, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike.
You want to try and keep the ball in on Milner. Milner's the type of hitter that likes to extend his arms. You'll get most hitters that have power. That's exactly what they want to do. Palmer's got a good enough fastball that he can work it inside and try and tie him up.
On deck it is Bill Madlock. Palmer at 2-1 to Milner. He hits it back to the pitcher. And Palmer does it himself. And the inning is over. Pittsburgh moves Marino down to third, Foley to second. Then Palmer gets Parker, Stargell, and Milner. After 1/2 inning, Pittsburgh, no score. Baltimore coming up.
Jim and I, we had some classic battles even prior to that. Spring training, he was one of those guys that you know, accepted the challenge to pitch to some of the toughest hitters in the world. I know he always pitched a high fastball, mid-90 velocity.
They had guys that they could throw at that were pretty doggone good. Of course, Jim Palmer was going to be a Hall of Famer, so control always has an advantage on hitting. And it turned out the series was supposed to be a pitcher's series. Many people thought that it was going to be a pitcher's series. It turned out to be an offensive series on both sides of the equation.
The Pittsburgh Pirates say thank you to all those serving others and serving on the front lines so that we can all stay home.
Hi, I'm Ken Steidel.
And I'm Kenny Steinberg from Steidel & Steinberg. Many people have been through some tough times over the years for all kinds of reasons. Loss of a job, medical problems, separation, divorce, and we've been privileged to be there for you.
But I don't think we could ever have contemplated this.
Listen to the medical experts, and if you've been financially affected by what's been happening, let us know.
We will try to help. Steidel & Steinberg, goodbyedebt.com.
John Candelaria's no-hitter in '76, I remember very vividly. We were at that point in time in Three Rivers in the right field bullpen, was the Pirates bullpen. It switched later to the left field bullpen when Chuck Tanner came in. But I was in the right field bullpen, and for some reason, don't know why, maybe it was the way he was throwing early on. And I mean, this was real early on. It was like second, third inning. I was sitting back. There was a little cutout area in the back with a bench in it. And I was sitting back there on the top of a sandbag that the grounds crew had just left there. It was just kind of this lumpy old sandbag that was sitting there. And I remember from the second inning on, I wouldn't move off that sandbag because for some reason, and I've talked to other players, it was the same thing. You knew something special was going on that night, and you knew it early. And it wasn't because, yes, Candy was dominant. He had been dominant before, but that night he had a little bit of a different feel. And by the end of the game, my rear end had a little bit of a different feel from sitting on that sandbag all night long. But you know what? It was worth every bit of it.
Candy is one of those guys like Don Robinson that wants the ball in tough situations. I mean, you had to fight him not to get the ball.
Candelaria, who absorbed the loss in game number 3. The first game played at Pittsburgh. Starting tonight for the Pirates. Before the game, Howard talked to him.
If there's a concern about you, John, it's your physical condition, your ribs, your back. What is it?
Well, I've had a back problem for a couple of years. 2 bones that tie the back together need to be tied for a fusion. I've got a curved spine. I've got a bone now they found floating around in the middle, which won't affect me. I've never used an excuse. I never will. I just want to get the guys to Game 7 tomorrow and take our chances from there.
So the big left-hander they call the Candyman is on the mound. During the regular season, he was touched for 25 home runs. He gave up a home run to Cincinnati, and he gave up one in the series to Vinny Ayala. Ayala is batting behind Garcia. Then comes Singleton, Murray, DeCinces, Renicky, Dower, Dempsey, and Palmer. The defense has Milner, Moreno, and Parker. In the outer defense inside, it's Madlock, Foley, Garner, Scargill, Ott, and the pitcher. Here is Kiko Garcia. Candelaria threw 60 pitches in 3 innings before the rain delay Friday night in Pittsburgh. When he came back after the rain delay, he was pummeled. The first pitch for the big left-hander is a fastball pumped in and fouled off by Garcia to the crowd for strike 1.
Going to be interesting to watch John Candelaria. Over in Pittsburgh, it appeared that John was dropping down a little bit. You saw Ott always trying to remind him, or Nicosia. And that's a base hit. Loop to right center field. Hit him on the hands, and he just muscled it on out there. And Garcia's aboard, very much in the running for the MVP.
You had a quick glimpse of white lines out there in the outfield. Those are the odd lines from Sunday's game. Houston against Baltimore. Kiko Keith now has 7 hits on the series. See the odd lines? You can see them now.
And the man at the plate is Vinny Ayala, who had the 2-run home run off Candelaria Friday night. This man is a power pitcher. He gets going and gets in the groove and is not hurting. He can be really tough. The pitch is outside for ball 1 to Ayala. And there's Vinny's wife. Out in the bullpen for Pittsburgh, warming up, right-hander Bruce Keeson. Pitch is on the outside corner.
Now, Keith, Chuck Tanner, he's in the same position what he was Sunday. He knows that if he doesn't win today, there's no tomorrow. That's all there is to it. And he won't hesitate. He'll go through the whole staff. Chuck uses pitchers freely anyway, and in this case, probably more so.
That pitch is outside. It's 2-1 on the batter Ayala. And if you're going to use Keeson in this series, tonight's the night, because this is the warmest night we've had.
Well, that's right. He's had kind of a circulatory problem, and he said he just couldn't get the field in that opening night game here, and I really can't say that I blame him much because it was awful cold.
That's foul back here.
The thing about Candelaria to watch, John with that bad back, he really can't follow through much. He can't bend his back. So consequently, you see him throwing out from the side. He's kind of slinging the ball a little bit, but he's pitching straight up and down.
There's Keeson in the bullpen.
What I don't understand about Keeson, let's look at this pitch first.
High pop to the infield. Shortstop Foley going back. Ball carrying well, though, on a still night. And Moreno waves everybody off in short left center to make the catch. 1 out.
If Keeson's hand was numb in the bullpen, as he professes, why wouldn't the pitching coach who was out there with him, Harvey Haddix, have known it? Why wouldn't Keeson have talked about it? Why instead would he have started the game? And also, Keeson's best record as a pitcher has always been in cold weather, where he's 23-7. I don't know.
Here is Kenny Singleton from the right side on the year, and 161 trips to the plate, right-handed, hit .248 with 10 homers, struck out 44 times. 1 out. Garcia at first base. Fastball is low for ball 1. Center fielder Moreno straight away, dead center, flag hanging limp out there, hardly wriggling. Curveball. 1 ball and 1 strike.
That's Mrs. Singleton. We've reached the point where we better start counting wives from each side after an article by a local writer here. There are only 4 Pittsburgh wives here tonight, by the way.
1 ball and 1 strike to Singleton now as Candelaria comes on the outside corner with a fastball, and it's 1-2.
A local writer, in a desperate quest to make news, decided that Mrs. Moreno was being seen too much. Very colorful lady, very attractive.
Garcia edging off first base. And the pitch is outside to make it 2-2.
Candelaria, so far, it appears that his velocity is good. His location at times has been fine. He's been off a little bit, but he's throwing the ball okay. Just a question if he can keep that ball down. John, really not the type of pitcher right now who can pitch too many people up.
Hit on the ground toward the hole. Foley flags, can't get it. Base hit into left field, and Garcia stops at second base.
Keith, that brings up the man who started the series with a hot hand. He was 4 out of 5, and then 13 times without a hit.
Here you try and keep the ball on the ground. That's exactly what Candelaria does, except it just has eyes and out of the reach of Tim Foley, the shortstop. So Baltimore, they come right back and they threaten themselves there in the first.
Eddie Murray doesn't make much difference which way he hits. We said that earlier. Right-handed, hit .298 in 181 trips to the plate with 9 home runs and 31 runs batted in. Left-handed, he was a .294 hitter, but with more power. One out, 2 on. No score, bottom of the first inning. There's a strike. Cal Ripken coaching at third for Baltimore, with Garcia at second and Singleton at first. Jim Fry, the coach over at first base for the Orioles. On deck, DeCinces. The blooper to the right side is going to drop in the crowd. Little soft blooper. Willie Stargell had a long run. No way he could get to it. And it's 2 strikes now. Candelaria holding the edge on Murray. Hit on the ground to the third baseman, Madlock. Steps on the bag at third, throw to first, double play. The inning is over. And so the Orioles threaten, and they too are turned away here in the first inning of play. A look at the inning-ending double play as the ball is hit rather weakly. Down to the third baseman, Madlock. He has plenty of time. He was coming down and on to first base to double Murray, and after 1, no score.
Bill Madlock, here's a guy we acquire halfway through the season. Of course, he goes and plays third base on a regular basis, which moved Phil Garner to second base.
I had played second, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me one way or the other. I just hoped to be able to play. So as it turned out, it worked out pretty good because Madlock was actually a better hitter than me, and then I got hot in the second half of the season. So both of our offenses helped out a lot. So it worked. Madlock and I worked. It worked out well, and it turned out to be a good move.
What do Pittsburgh business owners say about Nartec Media Group?
The team at Nartec gives you hands-on attention. They make sure no matter what you need, you're taken care of and you don't have to worry about a thing. They take care of everything from beginning to end and make sure you get the results that you need.
Nartec Media Group was a great choice for us. It really helped everything that we do here.
Real clients, real results. Contact Nartec Media Group to get started.
Haven't you waited long enough?
Pittsburghers know a thing or two about coming together. We cheer together. Look out for one another. We make this city whole. But right now, coronavirus is trying to change all that. So Allegheny Health Network is asking every Pittsburgher to join the Stay Home team. Stay inside so our doctors, nurses, first responders can focus on conquering this virus. Let's come together in a new way. Let's all join the Stay Home team today.
I'm attorney Mitch Dugan of Dugan & Associates. If you have a problem in Southwestern PA, you need an attorney from Southwestern PA. I grew up here, I went to school and I raised my family here, and I've been practicing law in this area for over 30 years. I work together with my experienced staff and attorneys to resolve your case. Hurt at work? Injured in an accident? Call your hometown team. Dugan and Associates. 888-99-DUGAN.
Bill Madlock was a difficult character. I don't think it's any surprise that Bill Madlock, a four-time batting champion, played for as many teams as he played for. Now, he fit in with this group. I think one of the reasons that he fit in with this group, there were two reasons. Number one, Tanner, again, doesn't believe in shackling players. And number two, the leadership in that clubhouse with Parker and Garner and Stargell and Rooker and Tekulve, they did not let a guy like Bill Madlock, who could have issues, they were the ones who controlled him. And Madlock said, I've got a chance to win a World Series here, and I can't mess that up.
Dog. Bill Madlock, call him Dog, because he's a dog. He was a hard, hit hard, played hard, ran hard, and even that day he took that glove and hit the umpire in the nose was hard. But
he was a tremendous hitter. He owned that lane between short and third. He just had it in his mind, and he could just hit the ball there all day long. Plus, he had some double power, and he could run too. Nobody kids you, that little roly-poly body of his, he could flat run. So he was very, very fast, and he was a solid third baseman. That was the thing I don't think he got as much credit for as maybe his offense. His offense has overshadowed, you know, what he did defensively, but he was a solid defensive player.
Bill Madlock comes to the plate, 9 for 18 in the World Series. Before the game, had these comments about facing Jim Palmer.
Now, you had one game against Jim Palmer, clearly one of the great pitchers of our time. How do you characterize him?
Well, Jim is basically same kind of pitcher as Tom Siebert. He throws the fastball that takes off. If you lay off the fastball, I think the high fastball on Jim Palmer, you can hit him and make him get the ball down in the strike zone. I don't think he's effective, but same game he pitched over there, we're swinging a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. If you get the ball down and make him, you know, throw his breaking ball a little more and not swing at the high pitch, I think we can beat him.
Well, the first pitch was in high for ball 1. Second pitch is high for ball 2. Both teams threatening in the first inning, both turned away. Hit sharply toward the hole. DeCinces over to flag it and throw him out.
We'll have some answering comments later to what Madlock said about Palmer.
Now DeCinces moving well to his left. He gets a break. The ball comes up on him. If it stays down, it might be a different story. But it comes up and he makes the play, and you'll see the ball come up here again. Here's the difference playing on the grass. There the ball comes up for him, or against the artificial surface. That's a base hit.
And the batter is Ed Ott, the catcher for the Pirates. 2 hits and 8 trips in the series. Palmer is high. 2 balls and no strikes. Paul Runge, National League umpire, is back at the plate. Wind is blowing slightly to the right. There's a strike. Palmer working quickly.
Jim will work fast. He'll get it and he'll throw it, but he has an idea what he wants to do with it every time he turns it loose.
Ball is hit on the ground to the shortstop, Garcia. 2 out. And now it is Phil Garner. Real scrapper. Never left the ballpark with a clean uniform in his life. 9 for 18.
Got to be the best 8th place hitter in the game. You know a better one, Don?
Not too many of them that hit 293 with 11 home runs and 59 RBIs on the year. That's not bad at all.
The Birds talking about changing the book on pitching to Garner. He's been wearing them out. Little calling card from Jim inside and high, ball 1. You cannot intimidate this scrapper. Slider is down in there.
Well, Garner, the same with Foley. They talked about trying to change their book a little bit on those two. They're both fastball hitters, preferably high. There you saw him. He moved him back with a fastball. He came back with a breaking pitch. And we'll see what he wants to go to here. He'll come back with another one. Now the fastball away.
1-1. Hit in the air, foul to the right side, up in the seats. On our presentation of NCAA football this coming Saturday, Southern California at Notre Dame, South Bend, traditional intersectional game. We have other regionals, including Texas at Arkansas, and those Horns were impressive against Oklahoma last Saturday. Curveball, pulled a string on it, bounced it.
Rick Dempsey is candid in his feelings about Garner. He's the man he really respects, apart from the big hitters in the lineup. Knew him from the American League, says he's just a good hitter. I don't know how to get him out.
Oh, inside and tight, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, Garner just about walked into this fastball. Palmer coming up and in. Garner starting and just about spun right into it.
That one had some run on it, didn't it?
It did. It tailed pretty good.
With 2 out, nobody on, 3-2 pitch coming to Phil Garner. Strokes it into center field, base hit, solid.
He goes on and on. 10 hits out of 19 trips to the plate. He is over 500 for the series, and Dempsey is right. He doesn't know how to get him out.
Now, there was a guy that they really wanted, because we mentioned this the other day. You'd like to get that 8th place hitter. If he's a 3rd out, you really want him, because you want that hitter to come up and lead off, that pitcher, I should say, to come up and lead off the next inning. But now, Candelaria, he represents the 3rd out.
Well, he's not the worst up at the plate. He pumped one to left in his other time up for a base hit.
Sure is a big target, though. Stands 6-7. Fouls it back in the crowd.
He just lays that bat into the ball. He can fool you. Good all-around athlete, great high school basketball player.
Palmer has him at 2 strikes. Struck him out. Inning is over. So the Pittsburgh Pirates get their 3rd hit of the ball game, but can't do anything with it. After 1 1/2, there is no score. Doug had a big one in the opening game. In that first inning explosion, his first time up tonight, he hits it high in the air to the right side foul.
He's got the power. Coming to the plate, he's 3 out of 17 as the Sly Fox, Earl Weaver. But he feels he's been an unlucky hitter in the series thus far. He figures 4 other shots should have been hits, and he can name them for you.
Lays it down. Good bunt. Candelaria's got to hurry. Gets in. Boy, that thing stuck on that grass like it had feet.
Boy, that was a good play by Candelaria. He had to come a long way. And not only is it a tough play the way he had to, the distance he had to come, but then he had to throw it around to Sensei going down the line at first.
Not only that, being a left-hander, you had to whirl around to get the throw off and lose precious time.
That's exactly
which
right.
can impel a wild throw.
Gary Renicky comes up, still wearing the guard across his face after having been subjected to a broken jaw. He's worn it all season. Does not wear it in batting practice. Does not impair his vision. It's a factor of confidence. He hits a high fly ball out into left center field. Omar Moreno underneath it. 2 down. Batter now will be Rich Dower. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited.
When Keith set the defense of Baltimore and talked about Rich Dower, he suggested that Rich can hurt you with the bat.
Breaking pitch is high.
And Keith is exactly right, because this young man really came along, as we have told you, as a hitter this past season, had the most game-winning hits of any member of the Birds.
Ball is hit out into center field, sending Omar Moreno back, but he's got room and he makes the catch for out number 3. And so here in the bottom of the 2nd inning, John Candelaria gets Baltimore in order. We've played 2. We have no score.
Omar Moreno was the one that really gave us the last dimension that we needed to be a really good team.
He was a great leadoff hitter. You know, he worked the pitcher extremely well, and once he got on base, he was guaranteed to steal one or two bases, second or third.
He could go from first to third like nobody's business. His nickname was the Gazelle. He was tall. Speed guys generally are shorter. Omar was a good 6'2". He could fly, and he was graceful when he ran, thus the nickname, the Gazelle. And defensively, Dave Parker was an excellent outfielder, great arm in right field, but in left field they platooned Bill Robinson and John Milner. They were adequate defensively, but certainly not great. But with Marino in center field, he covered an awful lot of ground.
Swinging a deep fly ball to right, and Josh Bell has hit another one out of here.
And welcome to PNC Park.
Kevin Newman, his second home run of the game, just won it. Raise the Jolly Roger.
A message for children. It's hard to be stuck at home right now, but we want to say thank you because you're being a big helper. When you stay home, you're protecting other people from getting sick. By calling someone you love who's stuck inside, you're giving them a smile, and they need it. When you wash your hands, for like the 100th time today, you're keeping your family safe. And by being brave, you're helping us all be brave. We know it's not easy, but helping will make everything go back to normal again as soon as possible. You're part of a big family of helpers around the world, and you're making a big difference. Find ways to help children feel safe at unicefusa.org/COVID-19. That's unicefusa.org/COVID-19.
Stargell was the captain. Stargell was called Pops. He was the unquestioned leader of that club. He had a great sense of where the club was psychologically. He wasn't a loud guy by any means. He didn't take place in much of the Parker Garner stuff, but he was the leader.
He was the man. If you had any problem on or off the field, if you got a problem and you couldn't settle yourself, hey, Pop, I need a little bit of advice. Bring it on, baby. And you would sit there and talk, and he would put his head down, playing cards or whatever, lean back, you know. If I was in your shoes, and that's why he would talk, and he had his voice would go down a little bit deeper than mine. And you get the explanation out, but he was a leader. That's why we called him Pops.
Willie Stargell, John Miller, and Billy Madlock. Stargell fouled out to the third baseman his first time up with 2 runners in scoring position. He takes a pitch on the outside corner for strike 1. Willie Stargell, through 5 games plus tonight, has stranded 11 runners in scoring position. He is made out with 11 runners in scoring position.
Which is not like Willie, which is what we discussed with him Sunday. You folks who watched heard him. As long as he does his best, that's all he can do, period.
Big swing and a miss, and Palmer has the edge at 1-2.
And still 8 hits in the series. Coming into this game out of 21 trips to the plate.
Palmer working the same way to Stargell and Parker. He'll go with a fastball. He'll try and move it in or keep it up. And then he goes with that off-speed pitch and tries to keep it down and away.
1-2. Up high.
Anything low to Stargell is a risk. A great low ball hitter.
He has a 10-game hitting streak in postseason play. Ball is hit high in the air to center. Renicky holds his ground, and Gary makes the catch. 1 out.
On that last pitch, as you looking at Palmer, I think the big thing right now, just watching him throw, he went down with a fastball sign, and he just changes on his own.
The fella with the mask looked a lot better the second time around.
Milner gets a little feeble pop down the third baseline foul. DeCinces makes a diving try at it and comes up empty.
You have to be impressed, folks, if you remember the 2 games played here with the improved condition of the playing field. And this is in evidence. Doogie going after the ball, the spikes gripping in the dry ground, and a good effort done.
Very good effort. He just about made a play on that ball.
Sort of hold your breath, though, sometimes on those kinds of desperation lunges, because you never know. Tomorrow night, Game 7, if it's needed, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Baltimore can wrap it tonight. And there's the slow changeup curve drifting in for strike 2 to Milner. Fastball just outside, 1-2.
Lord, that Palmer is a handsome young man. You once looked like that, Don, when you were young.
That's foul.
There's a case. Milner so far out in front. You see John just laughing at himself. Palmer changing and just kind of cued it foul.
Thing about Palmer is his absolute composure. How he's come to grips with the fullness of life. Spoke to him earlier today.
Way up.
He had planned to come by for lunch. Couldn't do it. Lunched with his wife yesterday. Both of them. If you can meet a situation like this, where we're going to have a growing tension as the innings progress, if it's possible to do it with emotional poise, this is the man who can do it. Jim Palmer.
He's gone to a full count now on John Milner here in the top of the 4th inning. No score in the ball game. 3-2.
Milner's tough. Very overlooked player.
He lost him. Milner walks. First in the game by Palmer. Here comes Bill Madlock. Well, we heard what Madlock said. We heard
What
Dempsey
Dempsey
refute it.
said.
Now it's time to see what they can do against each other. First time up, Bill hit the ball sharply at DeCinces for an out.
I just think Matlock is a beautiful hitter.
Good hitter. He's got a very short, compact swing, as we've mentioned before.
Fancies himself a fighter, but he better stick to baseball.
Steps out. Not quite ready.
The late Don Hoke once fancied himself a fighter. He paid the price.
Pitch is high and outside.
I never saw a man challenge more men and lose more fights in baseball. Did you, Don?
He was in a few of them.
Madlock with a very sore, sprained left thumb. Takes it high. He said, make Palmer come down with the ball, and you've got a chance at him.
Well, you've got to, and I think Jim, he'll be the first one to tell you exactly how he pitches. He knows that that's one of the toughest pitches for a hitter to lay off of, is that high fastball.
Suddenly, Palmer is having at least some control difficulty. Jim has problems when he gets wild high, as he did in the All-Star game last year at San Diego.
Well, that pitch is outside. He walked Milner, and now he has gone to 3 balls and no strikes to Madlock, and he wants a new baseball.
This has happened very suddenly.
Palmer, like Candelaria, they're both kind of straight up and down pitchers. You see Jim DeCinces came on in there, and he says, okay, come on, let's go. He wants to get it and throw it. He knows what he's doing. Of course, what I mean straight up and down, they really don't bend their backs. They're just what I say, a straight up and down type pitcher. See, Palmer, he doesn't have the big back bend in that ball 4.
Suddenly, Palmer with control problems, and a tough hitter coming up in Eddie Ott. Well, there's not a weak hitter in this Pittsburgh lineup. Not one.
Eddie Ott, the left-handed catcher, coming to the plate. Grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. 2 for 9 in the World Series.
When you're as close to it as the Birds are, as a team, the tension has to grow, accumulate, inning by inning.
The runners, Milner at second, Madlock at first, edge off. Ott hits the ball in the air to the left side, drifting, going down the line, and it's a foul ball. Long run for Benny Ayala. And the ball girl was out there. She almost made the play.
That's it. I thought she was going to make the play.
Well, I think Ayala kind of shied away a little bit. And Kiko Garcia kind of pointing over. And the girl,
What's the girl?
she should have done, she should have come back towards home plate, but she runs right out amongst them. There she is.
Now that's bad. That's bad.
What in the world is she carrying?
She's carrying a stool.
Oh, I see what she was doing. She saw the ball was in foul ground. She grabbed her stool to get it out of the way. That's what she was doing. But she
why
ran
not
the
pick
wrong
it up
way.
and run to home plate? Stay in foul territory.
I
Good
would
Lord.
say so.
Under any circumstances, a near two-base hit, a blooper.
There's the change. Nope, it's 1-1.
There is Mrs. Eddie Ott. And you just saw?
How would you like to be laid up in the hospital and say, how did you get here? I ran over the ball girl's stool. 1-1 pitch is inside. It's 2-1.
Hey.
Plate's jumping on Jimmy.
Jimmy in trouble of his own tricking device, and it happens suddenly.
Only one out. Milner at second and Madlock at first, both walked. That ball is hit on the ground to the second baseman, Dower. Over to second, one. Over to first base, bounces, no. And a good effort by Madlock at second base to bust it up.
Boy, he did have a great effort. And he almost cut the legs out from Garcia. Right now, as you look at Madlock at first base, and they know that they've got to play. There's no tomorrow if they come in second tonight. And he goes in as hard as I've seen anybody go in a long time. And that's kind of refreshing to see somebody play like that. There's the rolling block. Garcia, now he can't get the ball quick enough to get him down. There it is again.
That's called in football vernacular a chop block. Over at third base, it is Milner now with 2 out and Phil Garner up. He singled first time up tonight.
What a guy to have up, Keith. 10 out of 19 on the series. Potential MVP in the series. By Dempsey's own admission, we don't know how to pitch him. He's just a good hitter.
High pop right side. They'll have a play on that, maybe. No. Dower on the dead run, and Singleton coming as best he could from right field, but it just fell beyond the reach of everybody, right at the railing.
Well, Candelaria up next, so you got to pitch this guy, it seems to me, Don, oh so carefully.
Well, that's true. Even though that first base is occupied, so you load the bases. So what? You've got 2 outs and you've got the pitcher hitting, but I don't think you can let Garner beat you right here.
You want to see the improvement in Candelaria's effectiveness tonight. In his last outing, in 3+ innings, that was in game 3, threw 75 pitches. Tonight, in 3 innings, he threw only 32. There's his improvement.
We're in the top of the 4th inning. There is no score in game number 6. John Milner's at third. Ed Ott at first, 2 out. This has been an inning of trouble for Jim Palmer. He walked Milner. He walked Madlock. Madlock prevented the double play with a rolling block, chop block at second base, cutting down the shortstop, and Palmer's fastball is high. 1 ball and 1 strike to Phil Garner.
91.
Ooh, that's quick.
Yes, indeed.
He's warming up, isn't he?
Look at that little fella, the pepper pot, the scrappiest ball player you would want to see. Funny how these little guys suddenly rise up in the series. There's a Jim Wild high.
Now there you see Palmer drop down a little bit from try and bring it out from the side, but he just still misses high.
There's the Pirate pitcher, Candelaria, waiting on deck. Don said, don't let Garner nail you right here. It may be that Palmer's giving him the hot stuff and pitching him carefully. That nips him in the back of the helmet. Just nipped him in the back of the helmet.
Jim wasn't going to take a chance. He didn't want to hit him, of course, but he wasn't going to take a chance giving Garner a pitch to hit.
Just nipped him on the back and then off the back of the helmet.
You know, that's one of those strange things, though, where actually if he'd have ducked away from it, probably hit the bat and been a strike.
It might have been. He took a little bit off of the fastball.
Yeah, if it had been a Hummer, I suspect you'd have had some growling from Garner.
Well, you'd have seen some dirt on him, too.
Yep, you sure would. Candelaria swings and fouls it off. The umpire, I believe, Paul Runge.
But you saw in evidence, there's Manny Sanguin. He's telling them how the left-hander should hit against Palmer. He was the hero of game number 2 with that pinch hit single to the opposite field, and then the cutoff by Murray. Sammy Stewart again. Up.
Palmer now at 1 strike to Candelaria. Swing and a miss for strike 2. And there's a good reason for Stewart to be up, because Palmer in this inning has thrown 27 pitches. He only threw 35 through the first 3 innings.
Of his last outing, wasn't it? Or this outing, too.
Right.
He threw 35 in the first 3 innings of his last outing. But this guy has a tendency to get stronger.
He strikes out Candelaria with the bases loaded to end the inning. And so the Pirates are turned away one more time. After 3 1/2, there is no score.
The Pirates were one of the most charismatic teams I've ever covered in any sport. They had more characters per square inch than you could imagine.
We had so many different guys from different walks of life, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, black, white, Panamanian, other Latin players. We had them from all over.
Nationality-wise, it was like the United Nations of baseball. Had so many different countries represented in the clubhouse. Actually had 3 Panamanians on the team. Whoever thought you'd have a team with 3 Panamanians on it. So a very diverse cultural mixture of people on that ball club, and yet because of Willie's personality, and he was the dominant personality in the clubhouse. Everybody knew that, and everybody appreciates that. But because of his type of personality, when you walked into that clubhouse, there were no nationalities. They were all guys in gold shirts and said Pirates across the front. And Willie's favorite saying was, hey, this guy might be this guy might be that, but when we put these shirts on, we're all buccos.
Give yourself a raise and put money in your pocket. Home values are up, and with mortgage rates this low, now is the time to put your equity to work. Get cash out, pay off credit cards, get a free mortgage checkup at Golden Oak Lending.
What do Pittsburgh business owners say about Nartec Media Group?
The Nartec Media Group has taken my business far beyond anything I could have ever done on my own. They're experts in media placement, television production, radio production. They're my partners. They've done a great job, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who wants to take their business to the next level.
Real clients, real results. Contact Nartec Media Group to get started.
At Point Park University in the heart of downtown Pittsburgh, our towers are made with steel, not ivory. They're powered by innovation, intelligence, and effort. We understand there's no substitute for real-world experience and career-building connections. Our curriculum engages students with distinctive experiential learning opportunities. Point Park's pioneering co-op program empowers qualified students to work in full-time paid positions with our corporate partners while earning college credits. Career ready, that's the point. Point Park University.
Pittsburghers know a thing or two about coming together. We cheer together. Look out for one another. We make this city whole. But right now, coronavirus is trying to change all that. So Allegheny Health Network is asking every Pittsburgher to join the Stay Home team. Stay inside so our doctors, nurses, first responders can focus on conquering this virus. Let's come together in a new way. Let's all join the Stay Home team today.
It's fast and easy. Golden Oak Lending's new Zipline Mortgage. Get the ease of applying online with the security of working with a local company.
I just call my personal loan officer with any questions.
Zipline Mortgage. Apply online today.
I think the fact that they responded to adversity when they were struggling along for a fair portion of the season at 500, and everybody expected more. Remember, they lost out to the Phillies. on the next to last day of the season. So they came into 1979, people thought this is a legitimate contender to win the Eastern Division. It's not some team that was constructed in the offseason. The component parts were back there once again. The mere fact that they were able to rebound and recover from not a good start, and certainly the ultimate rebound was being down 3-1 to a team with the pitching staff that the Baltimore Orioles had, I don't think it bothered them a bit. Clearly, the team that scores first has an advantage, especially when they're playing at home. I wasn't in the dugout, but knowing this team and knowing these players as I did, I'm sure they just totally took it in stride, figuring somebody in this family will come through. They had all year. Why not now?
Candelaria, who's been impressive here at the bottom of the 4th inning, will face Singleton, Murray, and DeCinces second time around.
Well, this will be a testing inning, one would suspect, for Candelaria, because Singleton does have better home run power from the right side. He is thirsting to break out. He now has 8 out of 22 on the series. And always around the plate, Candelaria is susceptible to the home.
Kenny hits the ball up the alley in right center field, and it goes through there. It's cut off nicely by Moreno. Now, if that's in Pittsburgh, it's on the wall, and 2. But Moreno, with his great speed and the ball hitting the natural grass, Singleton comes up with a 325-foot single.
But it was a beautiful bit of coverage by Moreno. Look at him get over there. That's where that antelope-like speed is so important on natural grass. But as I said, a testing inning, as quickly Chuck Tanner comes out to the mound. Wants to make sure Candelaria's back isn't suddenly bothering.
Keeson's up in the bullpen again. This is the 3rd time in the ball game that Baltimore has had the leadoff man aboard.
Now Tanner just going out and just trying to remind people as you see what's coming up this coming Saturday. Big doubleheader. USC and Notre Dame.
Trojan stumbled against Stanford, wound up in a 21-21 tie, and fell out of the top spot in the country. The other regional games on Saturday, Texas at Arkansas. Both of those people undefeated. Good ball game coming out of the Atlantic Coast Conference as well. Here's Eddie Murray now. Eddie Murray in the ball game has left 4 base runners in scoring position. Pulls this one sharply down the 3rd base line. Madlock knocks it down and throws to get him. Good play by Bill. And Singleton moves up to second base.
It was Bedlin, a good play. That ball could have caused an explosion by Baltimore. Watch it again.
Well, he gets the ball in on Murray a little bit. Madlock comes over. He makes a good play. It might have been even a better play had he been able to hold on to the ball, because they would have had the force for sure at second base, but he stays on it in a hurry, and he gets Murray at first, and Baltimore now with a man in scoring position with Singleton at second base.
DeCinces has left 8 men in scoring position.
Now remember what Doogie told us. He felt this was the night he would explode another long ball. They all look to Candelaria for the long ball.
That's off the end of the bat, and it's a rifle shot into the crowd.
Even
as
as
lady has it.
Keith, even as he said that, you'll remember his last time up, he bunted, and it was an excellent bunt, and Candelaria made an outstanding play on it. But now DeCinces and Renicky, and a challenge for Candelaria.
No score in the ball game. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Pitchers have dominated it so far. And some good defensive work as well by both sides. That pitch is outside. Baltimore so far in the ball game stranded 2 base runners. Pittsburgh so far in the game stranded 6 base runners. One ball and 2 strikes as DeCinces has a little conversation with Paul Runge.
Well, I don't think Doug really had a good look at that. He was fooled on the pitch to start with. Now he gets out, and now he said, whoops, I can't pull the trigger, so I'll go back this way and see if I can kind of masquerade that into a ball. But he can't.
That's a phrase. That's a pitcher talking, folks. The 1-2 pitch coming with Singleton at second base, 1 out. That's foul.
Candelaria still throwing good.
Keeson stays warm in the bullpen for Pittsburgh, however. If he's got any numbness in his fingers, he better tell somebody tonight. One-two pitch. Hit sharply to the shortstop Foley. Chases the runner back to second. Throws him out 2 down.
Good pitch. Had DeCinces reaching.
Now there's a pitch right there, that last pitch. If that ball is maybe from a little bit more inside, DeCinces pulls that ball to the hole. But it was out away, as you said, Howard. He was out reaching for the pitch and hits a nice ground ball to Foley at short.
You see from those numbers, as Gary Renicky comes to the plate, they've been able to control him reasonably well. He hit in the regular season 25 home runs.
Coming into this game, the Bucks were hitting .339 as a team in the series. The Birds .251. Another evidence of the Birds' ability to play as a team and to come through.
Candelaria is outside, but beyond that fact, the difference in hitting, you look at the composite box score, and it's incredibly even. 1 run difference.
But that's because the Birds hit when it counts.
That's right. Efficiency. That's foul ball.
Well, that really has been kind of the secret of this whole series so far. Baltimore with the timely base hits, picking up the wins when they need them. And really, Pittsburgh, well, they got the timely base hit from Sanguillen on game number 2, but they finally put it all together a little bit on the Sunday game. That was game 5 in Pittsburgh. And tonight, they had golden opportunities, but they have stranded their runner.
Candelaria comes high and away, and it's 2 balls and a strike to Renicky. You've got 2 out. Singleton, who led the inning, is out at second base after a single to right center. That's a strike.
And it was just a lovely pitch.
Candelaria showing a good breaking pitch tonight. He's a different Candelaria than what we saw in that 3rd game in Pittsburgh.
He really is.
Takes a little bit off the breaking pitch. Renicky tries to hold up.
Candelaria working on 3 days rest.
That's a high, short fly ball to center field. And Garner goes back. He and Moreno are doing a little Alphonse Gaston, and finally Garner makes the catch. So for the 3rd time of the game, Baltimore's turned away after getting the leadoff man on base.
Phil Garner was the blue-collar attitude of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and that's why the people in Pittsburgh loved him so much. Every day, he was the dirtiest player on the field. He would dive. He would, he'd charge somebody. He would anything to win the game.
Phil, he was like a clubhouse lawyer. He always had things going, and I felt that I was the only guy that could put him in check. I once told him, I said, you're lucky to be here because nobody even knew who you were until you were standing behind me and they took a picture of me and said, hey, who is that little guy? And, me and Phil had that kind of relationship. We would go at each other before the game. But in the process of us going at each other, it kind of loosened up the team and loosened up the starting pitcher for that day. And we just carried that on. It was a tradition for me and Phil to be at each other's throat.
Hey fans, this is Pirates manager Derek Shelton from my home in St. Pete Beach, Florida. Even though we are not playing right now, it is very important to be part of the Stay Home team. It is very important for our healthcare workers that you stay home, you stay healthy, you stay safe. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Ken Steidel.
And I'm Kenny Steinberg from Steidel and Steinberg. Many people have been through some tough times over the years for all kinds of reasons. Loss of a job, medical problems, separation, divorce, and we've been privileged to be there for you.
But I don't think we could ever have contemplated this.
Listen to the medical experts, and if you've been financially affected by what's been happening, let us know.
We will try to help. Steidel and Steinberg, goodbyedebt.com.
The world is talking about coronavirus, but it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions like, who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65. People with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes. People undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
Our uniforms, we had actually 3 sets. We had a solid black set, we had a solid yellow set, and we had a set that was stripes, pants and tops were stripes. And what we did is we interchanged tops and pants, meaning we had 9 different combinations.
We didn't particularly like them a whole lot, but we did like, what they brought to us, which was, there was no doubt about it. We liked people noticing us, and that definitely caused them to notice us.
People would ask me about it. Hey, Buck, what do you think about them ugly yellow uniforms? That's it. They're major league uniforms. So like I say, it's not the uniform that plays ball, it's the man inside of it.
It'll be John Milner, Bill Madlock, and Ed Ott.
But it's nice to have a guy with Palmer's confidence, isn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, you've got to adjust. Garcia on the big hop, and they get him. Now 1 pitch, 1 out, and Bill Madlock will stand in. He has bounced to third, and he's walked. Well, right now, the Bucks in a position where they've got to start trying to make something happen if they're going to stay alive. Baltimore, they've got to start trying to make something happen if they want to end it tonight. You're moving into that manager zone pretty soon. No score through 5.
Kemp. That's Bill Matlock's wife. Can't believe Drysdale won't get some runs, can you?
Right center field. Singleton a long ways to go. Renicky a ways to go. It'll be Singleton to run it down.
Remember Memorial Stadium, basically a pitcher's ballpark.
Good ballpark. You've got the alleys and straightaway center field, your fields that you try and pitch to. Try and keep it away from the lines where it's only 309 down both lines.
Pirate hitters aggressive. That was the 13th of 23 to swing at the first pitch.
Here's Ed Ott. He's 0 for 2. He's bounced to short. He was on a fielder's choice. Oh, and 1 the count. Palmer nipping that outside corner. 1-1. Very comfortable evening tonight here in Baltimore. Little squibber, and Garcia can't make the play, turn the wrong way. Ayala gets it back in, and Ott has a nubbing base hit.
And here's the man in the wake of that nothing base hit who is 10 out of 19. Look at this again. Second baseman squibbing the ball, and you'll see what Don meant. Turned one way first and too late the other way. But you can't fault him for that.
That was a tough play. Yep. The ball actually squibbed it out there instead of number. The ball kind of slicing back on him.
That's the 4th hit given up by Jim Palmer. The Birds have 5.
We get action in the Pirate bullpen. The pitcher spot is next. Garner to stand in. He singled and he was hit by a pitch. Well, Chuck Tanner conceivably, should Garner get on, he might go to the bench here. Left center field, he won't have to worry about it. Renicky right there. And that is out number 3. So the Pirates are gone in the 6th inning. And we are through 5 1/2. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, no score. Well, they get Keeson up in the bullpen as we go to the top of the Baltimore Orioles order. It'll be Garcia, Ayala, and Singleton. There's Keeson. And the Birds fans come alive. They want to try and get something going here.
Candelaria thus far avoiding the home run. A control pitcher.
To center field, Moreno has to hurry, and he's there.
And as you know, control pitchers, as we said the other day, like Catfish Hunter and Ferguson Jenkins, always susceptible. Candelaria on the record, no exception. And here's the guy who hit the home run off John the other day with a man on, quickly to reduce a 3-0 deficit to 3-2.
Ayala has flied to center. He's lined hard to Garner at second.
Good pitch. A lot on it. Don't forget, doubleheader, NCAA college football this Saturday. Southern Cal at Notre Dame, Texas at Arkansas.
The change a little bit low, and the count goes to 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, no score. Baltimore 6.
That's some doubleheader. Southern Cal, and after having been tied unexpectedly by Stanford, going against the Fighting Irish, who have lost only to Purdue.
Jammed him with a breaking pitch, and Foley on a short hop gets him.
They are playing defensive baseball tonight. Both teams playing beautiful. A good play there by Foley as he short hops it. Look at it again. Saw a lot of white in that glove, but Timmy had it. Buzzed it over to Willie, out. And here comes Kenny Singleton, who's 2 for 2. 9 out of 23 now on the series.
2 outs to Singleton.
Another evidence of Pittsburgh's inability to capitalize, but forgive them this time because they're going against Jim Palmer.
0-1 to Singleton. Good breaking pitch.
Well, I tell you, he threw in 2 pretty good major league pitches there.
Very good.
A look at Earl Weaver. Look at this again. Singleton so eager to hit 1 out. It's his only disappointment in the series.
Well, the report that from the press box at Candelaria said he had a little twinge in his shoulder. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's 2 outs and no score. We're in the Baltimore 6th.
This kid showing his grit and his determination.
Little looper, base hit left field, and Singleton is 3 for 3 as Miller will get it back in.
Eddie Murray coming up. Now 4 out of 20. He had been 4 out of 5.
And the chant in the background, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. Now 2 out, Singleton at first. Murray has hit into a double play, and he's bounced to third. Both times the double play started by the third baseman Madlock, who stepped on the bag to double Murray up in the 1st inning. That ended the 1st inning, and he bounced to Madlock in the 4th.
It was only last Thursday, seems a decade ago, that Eddie Murray went 3 for 3 right here.
1 ball and no strikes to count as Keeson continues to throw. The pitcher spot will lead it off for the Pirates in the 7th inning.
Bruce Keeson.
One ball, 1 strike. There's another good breaking pitch. That tied him up. He had it in on his hands well.
Murray, a man who can be at once a stoic and at the same time a little bit edgy. Didn't like being queried by the press on his cutoff play in that 2nd game.
The 1-1 pitch. Good breaking pitch, and that'll cost him. 1-2 the count.
The Candyman hanging tough. A beautiful breaking pitch. Look at it again. Candelaria must avoid the big mistake.
Leonard bat again, and Foley goes to Garner for the force, and the side is retired. Now Baltimore gone in the 6th inning, and we're through 6. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, no score.
Eddie Murray may be, well, certainly is, one of the greatest switch hitters of all time. And he was in his prime, although in the '79 series, the Pirates had no trouble with him. He had a terrible World Series. A lot of people in Baltimore, reading the papers down there, were all over Earl Weaver for not dropping him down in the batting order. I don't remember the numbers specifically, but he had a very bad series, and of course they relied on him for average, power, and RBI. And the Pirate pitching staff had done a brilliant job of keeping him from hurting them. And again, a lot of people wanted to move out of the cleanup spot in the batting order, but Murray was dangerous.
The Pittsburgh Pirates say thank you to all those serving others and serving on the front lines so that we can all stay home.
What if we told you that you could buy or sell your vehicle with just a couple of clicks? You can at Barrel.com. Barrel.com gives you the outstanding experience you find in our showrooms with the convenience of online shopping. Buy online and click for delivery. Or start online and collect your vehicle at one of our 12 locations. Selling your vehicle? Get an instant offer, then drop your vehicle off. Or we'll pick it up for you. Your next vehicle's just a click away. Find it today at Barrel.com.
There are many talented individuals and entrepreneurs who develop an enterprise with initiative, unbridled enthusiasm, and creativity. When it comes to financial planning and investments, not so much so. That's where the investment advice from Fort Pitt Capital Group can help. Our personalized solutions and heartfelt interest in helping our clients achieve financial success is our passion. The result, peace of mind. Fort Pitt Capital Group, your future is our focus.
I'm attorney Mitch Dugan of Dugan & Associates. If you have a problem in southwestern PA, you need an attorney from southwestern PA. I grew up here, I went to school and I raised my family here, and I've been practicing law in this area for over 30 years. I work together with my experienced staff and attorneys to resolve your case. Hurt at work? Injured in an accident? Call your hometown team. Dugan & Associates, 888-99-DUGAN.
We were obviously known for our offense. The Pirates teams of the 70s were always known for their offense. In the early 70s, it was the Lumber Company. Later on in the late 70s, because we added an Omar Marino to the mix, it was Lumber and Lightning. And we were very much known as an offensive club, and we were. I mean, we could strike just about any way that was necessary during the course of the game. If we're up against a good guy, we could manufacture a run. If we got somebody that was a little softer, we could just blow the game wide open. That was the kind of team we had offensively.
Well, I tell you what, there was no weak links in our lineup. Even when it come to pitching, maybe some of our pitchers couldn't hit us like Blylev and somebody, but you had a Dinah Robinson, Kenny could swing the bat, a Bibb could swing the bat. I mean, we all could do it, you know. And but the hitting was a part of our game. We always took pride in what we did. Bunting, swinging the bat, we did it. And but as far as, like you said, a weak lineup, no. We had Omar, I mean, could fly. We had like on the bench, we had Sanguin, Easy, Mike Easler, John Milner, Stephen Kosher, Eddie out, all depending who was catching.
Pittsburgh had become so used to watching the Pittsburgh Pirates just bludgeon people to death with their bats.
Well, Lee Lacy's going to come on, and he's going to take over for Candelaria in that ninth spot. He will pinch hit for John, so Candelaria did a fine job. Allowed Baltimore no runs on 6 hits.
2 points in. Lacy approved. Excellent pinch hitter for Tom Lasorda and the Dodgers. A possibility for a hit against any kind of pitching. And B, Tanner, as Weaver did the other day, wanting to conserve his left-handed pinch hitting strength. Kent Tekulve working in the bullpen. Now remember the first inning, and maybe for those of you who joined us late, each team had the other pitcher on the hook. Palmer. Marino led off with a single. Foley double. Second and third, none out. Palmer got out of it without a run. And then in the first inning for the Bucks, a leadoff single by Garcia, a single by Singleton, but then a double play by Eddie Murray. So the Candyman sure did his job, Keith.
Did for a fact. Lacy 1 for 3 in the World Series, batting for Candelaria, and .247 hitter on the year. Experienced major leaguer. There's a fastball poured in to make it 1 ball and 2 strikes on Lacy. And Chuck Tanner going with a right-handed batter here. He's saving his lefties for later in the ball game. That would seem quite clear. Keeson is ready to come. Just outside. 2-2. Stanhouse is now throwing in the Baltimore bullpen, but Stanhouse is throwing to test himself. Doctors worked on him the last 2 days, complaining of a sore left hip area, lower back. He's testing himself right now. There's a swing and a miss, and Lacy strikes out.
If there's been a key point in this game thus far, Don, I would have to think it was the 5th inning. Dowell leading off with a single. Dempsey up. 2 balls, no strikes. As you looked at that strikeout again, the runner was not sent. Dempsey swung and hit it oddly to the left side. Easy double play.
Well, that one sign on the left is true. You cannot steal first. I know that for a fact. Well, we'll get into that. Howard is, I believe, outside of the first inning on both sides. That is one key play. Later in the game, why you might see Earl change his decision on that.
They appeal. The third base umpire says no strike. That's what gets of the American League. Game 7 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock if it's needed. We are in a scoreless ball game here in game number 6.
We may be eating crab cakes till June.
That ball is hit sharply to the right side. Murray cannot get it. And Moreno takes his big turn and does not test Singleton.
Well, Palmer was a little slow getting off of the mound, and I'm just wondering if Murray even catches this ball with the speed of Moreno. Look how far he has to go to his right. I just wonder whether Palmer can beat Moreno to the bag.
Don't think so.
I don't know about that, but I think Jim thought Murray had the ball. So the Bucks get their 5th hit against 6 for the Birds. And here's this tough little cookie.
And, well, we saw in the first inning, we saw Chuck Tanner. He moved Moreno right away, and that's when Foley hit the bouncer off of the glove of DeCinces that went for the double. We'll see how he plays it here.
Singleton shallow in right. Renick shallow in center. Ayala normal in left. Watch Moreno. Nope. Strike.
Remember, the Bucks have not stolen a single base in this series on Dempsey, and Dempsey's convinced he can handle Moreno on the natural grass and turf here. He wasn't so sure about Pittsburgh, but he didn't have the problem.
They go over there, keep him close. Ball caroms off the glove of Murray. I'll tell you one thing, though, if you see him put his feet together and start prancing, load it up because he's going.
Well, they caught Moreno flat-footed the first time. He wasn't ready to go. Now he's moving off, and Palmer, who comes up and sets, he didn't really set. He came up and went in a hurry, and he almost had Moreno napping. Of course, the big thing, of course, Murray missed the ball.
They'll go there again. Moreno stole 77 to lead the National League in the majors this year in stolen bases.
Palmer in a sparring session with Moreno, wanting Moreno to know that he's well aware of him and is ready to pick him off if he can.
We're in the top of the 7th inning in a scoreless ball game.
Trying to hold Moreno close.
Ball is hit foul in the crowd on the right side.
And Foley exactly the right man to have up. The contact hit.
But he is down right now, 0-2.
But so skilled at advancing the runner and so skilled at the hit and run.
Well, the outfield playing fairly shallow. You've got Singleton shallow right, Renicky shallow center slightly, and right center field. Ayala the deepest of the three in left. He hits one to that gap in right center. It might roll all the way through.
And if it goes through, Moreno scores. He goes. The pitch is fouled away.
Hit and run. You know, there was a day this season the Mets had traded Foley to Pittsburgh for Tavares, and I don't know of a smarter man in baseball than Gabe Paul, the president of the Cleveland Indians. And I talked to Gabe about the trade, and Gabe said, a big edge to the Mets. Foley can't do it anymore, which shows you the smartest guy maybe in baseball can be wrong, because Foley had an extraordinary season, and Gabe would be the first to admit it. Hit .288, got that 5-year contract, the new baby we showed you the other day, and all the world is bright and rosy.
Yes, it is.
The two-strike coming. Two-strike pitch. They throw back over to first base, and again Moreno has to go back in on his stomach.
Foley has now failed to strike out in his last 162 times at bat. Stan the man unusual. Stanhouse.
That does not mean he's coming into the ball game. He's merely testing his back to see whether or not he can come if needed.
Well, anytime that you keep a runner at first base, you keep him alive over there. That can cut him down just a little bit.
He's going over the mound. And Moreno is at second, and the throw to first is not in time.
So the contact hitter with the seeing eye bat gets away with another one.
Well, here's a play at second base. Garcia's got to catch this ball. He just flat misses it. He's trying to get the double play. Instead of coming up on the ball and making the play, he lets it short hop him. The ball plays him, and it goes right on by.
I think Moreno was in anyway. He was on the move.
Well, they give Foley a base hit.
Of course. Man is uncanny with 4 inches up the bat, as you pointed out, Don.
Here's Dave Parker.
He's having a year where everything he hits finds a hole.
Well, Garcia cannot play that ball that way. He's got to get an out.
Got to come to it.
He must get an out somewhere.
Yes, you're right about that. He could have gotten the runner at first by catching.
The pitch is high to Parker. Stoddard and Martinez up in the bullpen now.
Sue Palmer has been through it so many times before, now obviously troubled. What a man to have up there against you in this situation. Dave Parker.
Palmer has handled it so far tonight. Ball is hit sharply, but it's foul. Again going to the offside.
I tell you, it's not so much, Keith, that I believe that he is going to the opposite field. It's that I don't know what he's looking for off Palmer, because those fastballs are on him.
Yep.
They are just flat on him.
I tell you, these little guys on Pittsburgh have been incredible. Garner and Foley. I wouldn't call Madlock a little guy.
Pittsburgh trying to build up a threat here in the top of the 7th inning in a scoreless ball game. And Parker hits it sharply. Second baseman past him. That'll score Moreno. Omar coming around third, and he comes to the plate for the first run of the ball game. Foley goes to third. Parker is on with a run batted in.
Well, I don't know what happened here. That ball, I thought, was a double play ball all the way.
I did too, but it looked like a bad bounce at the last minute. Look at it again.
Dower seemed to slip a little bit too.
Looked like a cinch double play. Big hop.
He never even got a glove on it.
Big hop.
Never got a glove on it. Moreno scores. Foley goes to third. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh, and they're not out of the woods yet.
Base hit for Dave Parker. 1-0. The Buccaneers have taken the lead, and here is Willis Stargell with 1 out. And Foley at third. Ball to the outfield. Could score him. Obviously, a base hit would. Ball is hit high in the air and deep to left field. There is room for Ayala. Foley tags. He comes racing down the line and scores, and Parker moves up to second base.
Which is one of the smartest plays you would ever want to see.
Well, Dave Parker started to second. He saw where the ball was going to go. He came back and tagged. He started to second base. The play was right in front of him. But Ayala was backing up on the ball. He did not set where he could make a play to second base. When Parker saw that, no contest.
Remember, the Birds a patient club. Never out of it. Remember the 6-run rally in the 8th inning. Game number 4.
Pittsburgh will be changing pitchers, going into the bottom of the 7th inning to Colby, up and throwing. And now with the Pirates breaking through and getting 2 runs off Palmer, it may very well be to Colby. Keeson was out there the first 6 innings of the ball game. Milner at the plate, and it's 2 balls and no strikes to John.
Well, in all honesty, Pittsburgh, they've got the 2 runs, but Baltimore has actually given them the 2.
Yep. There's Tim Foley.
And Willie Stargell.
Milner hits the ball in the air to right center. Renicky calls and makes the catch, and the inning is over. But it is a most significant inning in game number 6 because Pittsburgh takes a 2-0 lead.
It was a ball that was knuckling. It was hit hard, very hard, and right at him, and it was knuckling, and it hit the ground and went to his left, my right. And Jimmy kind of felt that he should have been caught, but the ball was hit extremely hard, and it was a knuckleball, and Jimmy showed his displeasure with Dyer. You know, when it got past and got to the outfield with Omar on base, you know he was going to score. And it was a big hit because Palmer was tough. Palmer wouldn't give in. He stuck to his game plan, high fastball, in and out. Very seldom threw a breaking ball because he could pinpoint his fastball. So, you know, when you're facing somebody as tough as Palmer, you know, anything that you get is big.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Game 4, we've got the lead. And I'm brought in the 8th inning, my normal spot, and for whatever reason that day, every sinker that I threw was about chest high. And Earl Weaver had saved Johnny Lowenstein and Terry Crowley on his bench. And in the 8th inning, he sent them up. We had a couple of guys on when I came in. He sent them up, and both of them, it was like instant replays. They hit doubles down the right field line on those high sinkers that didn't do anything. Right field corner. Then actually Tim Stoddard, who had never batted his entire career, got a base hit off of me. So that's when I knew it was really bad. And they came back and won that game, and that put us down 3-1.
When you blow a game in the 9th inning, I don't care if it's in April or October, it's kind of like eating a pepperoni anchovy pizza at 2 in the morning. You taste it for days. It's tough to recover from a blown save like that.
Kent Jacoby comes on in the bottom of the 7th inning in relief of John Candelaria, with Pittsburgh leading 2-0, and Bill Robinson goes to play left field.
One can't forget what Candelaria did. Troubled by the bad back, hanging tough. Chuck Tanner staying with him. The Baltimore bats still have not hit at all for the past 2 games. And in the meantime, Jim Palmer went into the dugout. And there's Wild Bill Hagee. He's getting these people aroused because they know the comeback capacity of the Birds of Baltimore. But Palmer threw his glove into the dugout. He was irritated that Garcia had not made what appeared to be a simple enough play behind second to get at least 1 out. And indeed, Kiko may have put himself out of the most valuable player of the World Series balloting with that mistake. Weaver, with his left hand, is ready to come up against Jacoby. Wild Bill Hagee. Listen to this.
It'll be Doug DeCinces, Gary Renicky, Rich Dower against the right-hander unless Earl Weaver goes to his bench. Jacoby making his 4th appearance in the World Series. Gets a pitch in on the hands. DeCinces swings and misses for strike 1. Jacoby in the series 0 for 1. His earned run average 5.79. He has pitched 4 2/3 innings.
There's a little change in Weaver's demeanor. He's beginning to bite his nails.
That's just low and outside. Blyleven and Jackson. Blyleven, hear that, is up in the bullpen. He may be just loosening up in case he has a chance to pitch tomorrow.
He offered to start tonight.
That pitch is outside. It's 2 balls and 1 strike to DeCinces, with Pittsburgh leading here in the bottom of the 7th inning by a score of 2-0. Al Bumbry is in the on-deck circle for Baltimore. That pitch is inside. It's 3-1. Baltimore had the leadoff man aboard in the 1st inning. They had the leadoff man on in the 3rd inning. They had him aboard in the 5th inning. Couldn't get him around.
That was Doogie's wife, whom you just saw. And the wives have the same tension written in their faces.
That's foul. And it's full 3-2.
You got to admit, folks, this is some World Series.
Boy, it's been a great, I think it's been a great spectator series, Howard. They've had plays, they've had bad weather, they've had good plays, bad plays. It's
evenly matched teams.
Yes,
neither team with any quit in them.
3-2 pitch to the plate. DeCinces on the hand. Sawed it off. Foley throws and gets him 1 out.
Well, there's the kind you go back to the dugout and make sure you got 10 fingernails still hanging around.
That's right. All right, here comes the first change now for Baltimore. As we mentioned, Bumbry is coming to the plate. Then we'll see what happens after that. Dower is scheduled up. Billy Smith is a switch hitter. He plays second base. And he's coming out. Smith is.
And then there are Lowenstein and Crowley.
No, it is not Smith.
Lowenstein's coming out in behind Bumbry. Now he's being called back. Well, here's a case right here. You've made Earl Weaver make a switch, and you're losing one of your better defensive outfielders, probably the guy with the best arm in the Baltimore outfield. You're losing Renicky.
He may save Lowenstein. He may have changed his mind right there. We'll see.
But he has already sacrificed Renicky.
That's right.
So Bumbry is up, replacing Renicky with 1 out. The pitch is outside.
The B, that's the sign for Al Bumbry. For president? Well, who knows?
That's on the outside corner. It will be Smith. And he will go to play second base, batting for Dower, switch hitter. He was right in the first place. The ball is hit high in the air down the right side, hanging up there, and Parker's over. and has it. 2 down.
Well, there you take a look at Kent Tekulve, and he has just had an exceptional year during the regular season in 94 games, and he'll just drop it from the side, and he'll just kind of underhand it. But as I said before, probably the most natural way to throw of any pitcher that we've seen in this series. Not too many people can do it that way, but he can.
So Billy Smith comes up to hit for Rich Dower as Weaver goes to the percentage game. 2 out. And the Pirates have a 2-0 lead. Bottom of the 7th inning.
And it's amazing, Don, the way the Baltimore bats have been still Sunday and thus far today.
Well, John Candelaria just did an outstanding job. Allowed Baltimore 6 hits.
Just high. Ball 1.
Let me tell you something else about this Bucks team. In a strange way, the tragic death of Chuck Tanner's mother has affected this team and uplifted them. Phil Garner told me about it. And I talked with him before the game. He said, yes, there's no question. This man means a very great deal to us, and this victory would mean so much to him.
1 ball and 1 strike on Smith. Hit sharply to the right side, into right field for a base hit. So there is the second move by Earl Weaver with a left-handed batter, and he delivers.
And now up comes Rick Dempsey, who on balance has had an exceptional series.
Well, here you see Billy Smith just gets a sinker out over the plate. He hits it by Stargell. He hit the ball well. Neither Stargell nor Garner had a chance to make a play.
But I still feel, because Garcia's not misplay, but absence of play, cost at least 1 run to the Birds, had Rick hit behind the runner in the 5th inning.
With 2 out, Crowley has come out into the on-deck circle in case Dempsey can keep it alive, and that will get us Tim Stoddard in relief of Jim Palmer. There's Crowley in the on-deck circle.
Had Rick not hit into that twin killing in the 5th, well, you know, ifs and buts are part of baseball.
Swing and a miss by Dempsey. And now Tekulve has him 0-2.
Appears in complete command of Dempsey, doesn't he?
He has so far. We're kind of having a little clubhouse meeting with himself right now. Yeah, there's a lot of ifs in this game. Kind of like the dog and the rabbit.
And Smith leading off first base. Foul tip, and Edott can't hold on. There's your doubleheader in college football this coming Saturday. USC at Notre Dame. Norfolk. There, look at that good one. That's a good one in Little Rock. Texas, Arkansas, and North Carolina, NC State. BYU, Wyoming, Ohio, Toledo, Grambling at Jackson State.
A lot of games.
Check your local listings. The 2-strike pitch coming to Dempsey. Got it.
Oh, did he get it? Commanded it.
Well, it's a sidearm breaking pitch, and you see this ball just about breaks up as he strikes him out.
After 7, Pittsburgh leads at 2-0. Back with more after this word from our local station.
Kent Tekulve was the most unlikely looking hero of all time. Bob Prince, the late announcer of the Pirates, said he looks like a tree full of owls because he had those big glasses on. He was tall and lanky. He reminded you of Ichabod Crane from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And of course, he was what they called a sidewinder. Came almost underhand, almost. Had a very unconventional delivery, which I'm sure confused hitters who weren't used to seeing it.
Tekulve's the worst athlete I've ever seen in my life. He just was a horrible athlete. He was in terrible shape. his routine, his routine was to smoke a couple of cigarettes a day, a few more than a couple a day. But he'd get to the ballpark at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and start drinking coffee, black coffee. And he drank black coffee the whole night long. And then he'd take a couple of aspirin at game time, and then he'd take a couple of other aspirin in the middle of game time. And you'd call him out there every night, and somehow he was ready to pitch. I don't think he ever ran a sprint in his life. And, but don't argue, he pitched into his 40s, and he never, I don't ever remember him being hurt. So he never pulled the muscle, he didn't have one. So, but the guy was incredibly good. He did a tremendous job for us, and it was always fun to, you know, and Teak was good-natured about it. We kidded him a lot all the time, but he was good-natured, but man, the guy could pitch. He had it locked down when he came in.
Swinging a deep fly ball to right, and Josh Bell has hit another one out of here.
And welcome to PNC Park.
Kevin Newman, his third home run of the game, just won it. Raise the Jolly Roger.
Pittsburghers know a thing or two about coming together. We cheer together. Look out for one another. We make this city whole. But right now, coronavirus is trying to change all that. So Allegheny Health Network is asking every Pittsburgher to join the Stay Home team. Stay inside so our doctors, nurses, first responders can focus on conquering this virus. Let's come together in a new way. Let's all join the Stay Home team today.
At Edgar Snyder & Associates, we believe in giving back to the community, just like our favorite Pittsburgh pro athletes. That's why we've teamed up with football star Cam Hayward, hockey star Chris Letang, and baseball star Josh Bell to help children and families in need. Boys and Girls Clubs, Kids Voice, Blessings in a Backpack, Playworks, and other local organizations that make an amazing impact on kids' lives. Visit EdgarSnyder.com to learn how you can help. Together, we can make a difference.
At Chatham University, college is about so much more than where you earn your degree. It's about what exploring the fields of healthcare, sustainability, arts and design, and the sciences mean to your future. It's about how hands-on research and training prepares you for a career, and why having engaged, empowering faculty makes a difference to your success. With all of that said, you should see where you will earn your degree. You really should.
These Pirates were a Pittsburgh-type team. They were known by the moniker the Lumber Company. And while they had some good pitching, they just bashed their way to victory. I mean, they had one of the most fearsome lineups that Major League Baseball had seen in such a long time. Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, Bill Madlock, Richie Zisk, Al Oliver, Omar Marino. I mean, they would just bludgeon you to death. And that really appealed to Pittsburghers. They were a big team physically. You had big guys like Parker, who was 6'5", and Stargell was a big man. That also appealed to the people of Pittsburgh. They had these bold uniforms. Some hated them. I kind of liked them. And I had people on other teams tell me that the Pirates actually, as much as you could physically intimidate in baseball, the Pirates, because of their size and their attitude, intimidated some other teams.
With the Buccaneers leading by a score of 2-0 in game number 6. And the pitch to Bill Madlock is swung on and lifted out into short left center, and Bumbry on the dead run runs it down.
Well, that ball held up a long time. I thought that ball was going to drop.
A very difficult game for Palmer, who has pitched extremely well, in keeping with the whole of his career. A great pitcher, one of the greatest of them all. Angry, openly so, as he left the field at the end of the last turn at bat by the Bucks, throwing his glove into the dugout against the wall because of what he felt was a misplay by Kiko Garcia.
Ed Ott comes to the plate now. The Pittsburgh catcher and Phil Garner moves to the on-deck circle. Bill Robinson would then follow, hitting in the number 9 position. The pitcher to Colby, if he comes to the plate, will bat in the number 5 spot in the Pittsburgh order. Ott hits it on the ground into right field for a base hit. That is his second hit of the night.
But, my friend, Mr. Jackson, you can take nothing away from the damaged John Candelaria, who pitched so superbly well for 6 innings, with Chuck Tanner taking him out when he felt there was nothing more left, and the man was losing it, and the man was in pain.
Well, he had a little pain. Of course, we talked about that at the top of the show. He's had the bad back, he's had the bad ribs, but then in that last inning, in the 6th inning, when he went out there, he felt a little twinge in his shoulder. But he got through that inning fine, and Chuck said that'll do it.
Well, it was much in the same fashion that Jim Rooker came through for them. That's a swinging foul. Back to the backstop.
This game far from over. We've been through too much with these two teams. There's the scoring summary. Moreno single, Foley single, Parker single, scoring Moreno. Willie Stargell's long sacrifice fly to left.
The pitch is up high, and Palmer wants another baseball with 1 out, and Ed Ott at first base. Ed Ott was involved in scoring in the 2nd game. He came round in 3rd like a runaway train. Score a vital run for Pittsburgh.
Then he made a base running mistake in the 4th game.
1-1 pitch, foul back here. Tim Stoddard and Tippy Martinez are in the Baltimore bullpen, staying warm, loosening. Depending on the circumstances, it could be either. The pitcher spot up to lead off the bottom of the 8th inning for Baltimore. This figures to be Palmer's last inning. The batter Garner out for a moment. Ed Ott conservative at first. Changeup is hit hard to the left side. Ayala over his head. Bangs over the wall. Ground rule double. Big hop over the wall, and he misplayed it. Misread the ball. It carried farther than he thought it would. And it's 2 bases.
Well, there's no question about misplaying it, but Palmer gets the curveball up. And now you see the way the bat hit the ball. That ball had the spin on it. Ayala has no chance whatsoever. I don't know whether Ott could have scored anyway, right out by our cameraman in left field. And now the Bucks threaten again here in the 8th.
Well, Palmer was looking at Ayala out there and wondering what's going on. Last year, Palmer was openly critical of the Birds' outfield. This year, there was great improvement. Most attributed that to Frank Robinson. But whatever, the ball landed about 3 feet in front of the fence.
Out at 3rd now, and Garner at 2nd, and Bill Robinson up with 1 out. Could be another run here if Robinson can make contact off Palmer, and he does. That ball is hit into left field. On the line, it is caught by Ayala, and here comes Ott to the plate, and he scores, and it's 3-0. So Bill Robinson does his job. They appeal at 3rd base that Ott might have left too soon, but get no call on it.
He hits the ball hard. Ayala's got a good break on the ball this time, coming in a line drive, but I believe Ott was tagging right at that time, and now Ayala appears he might have a shot. We mentioned before their best outfielder is gone as far as I can throw. A bad throw, tailing off the line. Renicky has been lifted for the pinch hitter.
You were right in mentioning that, and that was not a bad throw. It was a terrible throw.
And here is Omar Moreno now with 2 out. And Phil Garner at 2nd base, and 1 run in for Pittsburgh, leading 3-0. And Moreno takes the breaking pitch low for ball 1.
Palmer is not one to disguise his feelings, which I respect.
Well, there's been some funny ways that Pittsburgh has scored tonight, really. That's turned the whole game around.
That's foul. He pulled the string on Moreno and had him off balance. 1-1. Here's Bill Robinson, put into left field, defensively replacing John Milner after Pittsburgh got the 2 runs in the 7th. Now plays a major role himself in adding another big run. Cannot have too many.
Should the Pirates sustain, do you look for Blyleven tomorrow night, Don?
Yeah, I sure do.
Scott McGregor for the Orioles. Maybe Bibby, who knows?
Maybe Bibby is right.
Well, we're going. A lot of us felt that pitch was outside 2-1, that this could go 7, and it might even go 13, 14, 15 innings in 7, and we're still looking at that imminent possibility. 2 evenly matched baseball teams. The 2-1 pitch, swung on and missed. It's 2-2.
Good change by Palmer.
Earl is thinking, next time I'll bunt. Look at Frank Robinson. He doesn't look too happy either.
Well, Robbie's seeing a little bit of the tide turn right now. The pendulum has kind of swung the other way.
Well, he takes personally Ayala's misplay of gone his drive.
That ball is hit to right center field. It's going to fall in for a base hit. Bunbury knocks it down. Can't make a play. And here comes run number 4 as Garner steams in from second base. And Moreno goes into second. 4-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, they give him a hit in an air. There's a pass ball out over the plate, and Moreno hits it hard to right center field. Bunbury gets over, and he does a good job from keeping that ball to go through. And now when he gets there, he boots it. And that's where they draw the air. So that's hit number 10 for Pittsburgh tonight.
They do give him a run batted in, however.
Yes.
Mr. Garner is 11 out of 21 in this World Series.
Now talk about your MVP.
You talk about it.
He's emerging. He's emerging. Here's Tim Foley.
There's the other little pest.
That pitch is low. Moreno off second base, walking through your picture there. 4-10-0 for Pittsburgh. 0-7-1 for Baltimore. Pittsburgh has stranded 9 men in the ball game. Also turned over 2 big double plays. Popped up. In play for Dempsey. And Rick makes the catch. But the Pittsburgh Pirates get 2 more runs. And going into the bottom of the 8th inning, lead the game 4-0.
We had made an oath as a team that we wasn't going to give up a pitch. We was going to have tough at-bats every pitch, and that works a pitcher in itself. You know, you cut down on your swings with 2 strikes, especially with me in the scoring position, and the emphasis go from driving the ball to put it in contact, and that was like our offensive attack. We wasn't going to give away any pitch. We wasn't going to give away any at-bat, and I think that accounts for us having as much success as to get to the bullpen like we did.
Hey fans, this is Pirates manager Derek Shelton from my home in St. Pete Beach, Florida. Even though we are not playing right now, it is very important to be part of the stay home team. It is very important for our healthcare workers that you stay home, you stay healthy, you stay safe. Thank you very much.
What do Pittsburgh business owners say about Nartec Media Group?
The Nartec Media Group has taken my business far beyond anything I could have ever done on my own. They're experts in media placement, television production, radio production. They're my partners. They've done a great job, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who wants to take their business to the next level.
Real clients, real results. Contact Nartec Media Group to get started.
Being called on in Game 6 in the 7th inning really didn't come as much as of a surprise to me, because that was pretty much what I did. Back at that point in time, my job description was pretty much to pitch from the 7th inning on, whenever they needed me, anywhere from 2 runs down to 3 runs up. That was kind of my block of space that I was supposed to cover.
Chuck did not deal with convention because Tekulve would often pitch more than 1 inning. Closer today never pitched more than an inning, but Teak would on occasion.
The way Chuck had used our bullpen all year long, the entire goal was to get the game to Grant Jackson or myself, or a combination of the 2 of us, for the last 3 innings of the ball game.
Teak and I had been there all that time, and we knew how each other worked. We even, when we would come from the dugout to the bullpen, we would come together. And we'd sit in the clubhouse, we'd talk. And so we find out just, you know, so-and-so, how does he do? Well, the thing about it, Teak's from down here, and I'm from up here. So, you know, the thing about it, I threw a whole lot harder. I had a curveball, slider, and a little turnover, where Teak had a sinker and a slider, you know. And he just did what his job was to get the ground balls. My job was to get them out any way I can.
And it was the greatest feeling in the world to know that you had a manager that trusted you completely, no matter what was going on, to find a way to get it done. Never once when Chuck came to the mound, with myself for sure, I'm pretty sure with Grant, did he ever hand us the ball and say, well, now see, there's a guy on second, a guy on third, so-and-so sitting, pitch him this way, do this, do that. No. He handed you the ball and said, get him out.
And here is Lowenstein batting for the pitcher Palmer. Kelly is on deck. If Lowenstein should get the base hit, then you would have another series record.
A word about Jim Palmer. He's upset. In fairness, he has reason to be. Lacks defensive play by 2 members of his team. Cost him at least 3 of those 4 runs. He pitched very well. He's left the dugout. He remains what he's been, a great pitcher.
Tekulve gets a swinging strike on John Lowenstein. Bottom of the 8th inning, and Pittsburgh on top of Baltimore 4-0. They hang on to win it. We're all even, going to Game 7 at 8 o'clock tomorrow night here on ABC.
Lowenstein rarely handled Tekulve the last time the 2 met.
Tekulve, 2 strikes. Stoddard is in the pen for Baltimore, and maybe the pitcher. Martinez has warmed up. Jackson and Blyleven are still up in the Pittsburgh pen, and Lowenstein is gone, striking out swinging.
Boy, kept it low then.
Well, that looked like a different hitter, Johnny Lowenstein, tonight, but over in Pittsburgh. There's that sinker tailing down and away, and John just did not have a good swing at all.
A year ago, the Dodgers led 2-0 over the Yankees. There was a man named Nettles, as Pat Kelly comes up to pinch hit, who provided defensive histrionics that was simply incredible. But then the series was taken over by a fellow named Dent and a fellow named Doyle. Does it remind you of a fellow named Garner and a fellow named Foley? The little man.
Pat Kelly is up to hit for Garcia now. And Tekulve hits the outside corner with a running fastball, and Terry Crowley has moved to the on-deck circle, so Earl Weaver is going 3 pinch hitters in succession here in the bottom of the 8th inning against the right-hander Tekulve. That ball is sliced out to left field, where Bill Robinson has it and makes the catch. 2 down. And here comes Crowley.
If this holds, what a burden on young McGregor. What a burden on Blyleven if he gets the nod, or Bibby.
I think it's more of a burden on the wife.
And Harris.
That's Mrs. Tekulve. Defense. The game is baseball.
The pitch to Crowley is in there for a strike. On the Baltimore bench, you have Belanger. you have Skaggs, and you have Lee May. This takes care of the Baltimore left-handers, but remember, Singleton and Murray and Smith all turn around. One ball and one strike. Right in there. It's 1-2.
This was the young man who held his head low just a few days ago. He had been rocked by Lowenstein and Crowley.
Little bleeder past the mound. Garner flips to first. They get him. The 3 pinch batters that Earl Weaver sends to the plate in the bottom of the 8th inning are retired in succession. Lowenstein, Kelly, and Crowley. We've played 8 innings of baseball in Baltimore. In game number 6, Pittsburgh leading 4-0. Trying to take it to game 7.
Chuck Tanner believed that the players would win the games. He wouldn't. And he'd make moves, but he realized that the players would be the one to execute. He gave players, and especially this team, a lot of latitude.
The 1979 Pirate Club was a very veteran-laden club. There weren't many rookies on it with the exception of Don Robinson. And Chuck treated us exactly the way we needed to be treated. He gave us all the freedom in the world to go out and just do what we do. He trusted us, to get done what we needed to get done. He trusted us to take care of ourselves, to be ready to get done what we needed to get done. And he treated us like men.
The Pittsburgh Pirates say thank you to all those serving others and serving on the front lines so that we can all stay home.
Hi, I'm Ken Steidel.
And I'm Kenny Steinberg from Steidel & Steinberg. Many people have been through some tough times over the years for all kinds of reasons. Loss of a job, medical problems, separation, divorce, and we've been privileged to be there for you.
But I don't think we could ever have contemplated this.
Listen to the medical experts, and if you've been financially affected by what's been happening, let us know.
We will try to help. Steidel & Steinberg, goodbyedebt.com.
The world is talking about coronavirus. But it's hard to know what to listen to. We have answers to your questions, like who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65. People with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes. People undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people. Avoid crowds. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov. Together, we can help stop the spread.
The key to being successful in Game 6 when I came in to replace John Candelaria after he had thrown his 6 innings was just the fact that, I wasn't doing anything different than I normally did. I had 3 innings to get through. I had so many runs to work with, and just go ahead and do what you do. And because of the fact that I was so relaxed, it didn't matter that it was Game 6. It didn't matter that we had our backs against the wall. If we didn't win Game 6, there was not going to be a Game 7. None of that mattered. It was just another baseball game, and I was doing what I do, which is, pitch 2, 3, if necessary, innings.
Here we go with the last chance for the Baltimore Orioles in game number 6 with Singleton, Murray, DeCinces. That's the heart of your batting order. That's Singleton, who hit 35 home runs during the regular season. That's Murray, who hit 25 home runs. And DeCinces, who had 16 home runs. 2 of them will hit from the left side against the right-hander Jacoby. He's trying to sit on this game and make John Candelaria the winner and Jim Palmer the loser and take us to 7.
Last World Series shutout was by Luis Diaz against Cincinnati, 1975. We come to the last and 9th. Remember World Series history. If the Bucks sustain, only 3 teams have ever come from a 3-1 deficit to win it.
Jacoby missed. Oh, he caught the corner.
Those 3 teams, the Tigers against the Cards in 68, the Yanks against the Braves in 58.
That's low.
And these same Bucks against the then Washington Senators in 1925.
Ball got loose. Skinny laughing. The ball hit Ken's bat on that last one and rolled out there.
Going into this game, Palmer against Candelaria. What would you really have given for the chances of the Bucks? Candelaria having been wrecked up in an earlier game, working on 3 days rest only.
The 1-1 pitch to Kenny is fouled away.
And with a damaged back, but worked 6 brilliant innings. You can't give him enough credit. Palmer victimized by Garcia and Ayala. Palmer himself pitching very effectively. But it's 4-0 Bucks.
Swing and a miss on a pitch thrown right through the hands.
Now
And Singleton strikes out.
Jacoby came up on that breaking pitch and just tied him up. As you take another look now here, watch Kent come up on it. He gets his arm high. The breaking pitch ties Singleton up inside. Look at that. See Kenny dragging his hands right in around his waist.
He's probably startled to see Jacoby up that high with a release.
That's right.
Well, it's a little different Jacoby from the last time we saw.
I tell you, this series is seesawed back and forth so many ways, it's unbelievable.
Time called Frisbee on the field. Eddie Murray, the hitter for Baltimore. DeCinces on deck.
You know, conceivably, Baltimore could have won it in 4. And on the other hand, Pittsburgh could have come back here to Baltimore 3 games on top, 3-2. Instead, they're down 2-3, and right now in the process of evening it up at 3.
But defensive mistakes have played such a big part throughout the series, tonight included. Right?
Yes, they have.
0-1.
Game right now, to me, ought to be scoreless.
That ball is hit high in the air to the right side. Room for Dave Parker. 2 out. Now Jacoby is 1 out away from taking us to game number 7. And in team sport, it's always defense that you start with.
What was that? The whistle?
No.
Mrs. Moreno is not here tonight.
Well, it will be a gripper tomorrow night at 8 Eastern time. As 2 gutty, talented, tough baseball teams square off in game number 7. Jacoby pitches to DeCinces. He needs 1 out. He's got strike 1 on Doug.
What is that man thinking now?
He's got strike 2 on DeCinces.
There's Kiko Garcia. Earl Weaver may be thinking about a bunt.
Possibly.
I bet he is, and I bet he's thinking about tomorrow night.
Yeah.
2-strike pitch. Swing and a miss. The game is over. Jacoby slams the door on Baltimore. John Candelaria is brilliant as he pitched 6 innings. He gets the win. Jim Palmer takes the loss. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have fought back to make it all even after 6 games.
We will join the National Hockey League season, ladies and gentlemen. But it was a brilliant baseball game in many respects. Certainly on the part of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Birds of Baltimore with Palmer hanging in there but suddenly the Birds are not hitting, and that's what Weaver has to think about. 1 run on Sunday, no runs tonight, the first shutout in the World Series since '75.
Chuck will come out, like I say, we got them right where we want them, boys. You know, we the better team. We gonna win this thing.
What had turned around completely was, in Game 5, the Orioles scored 1 run. In Game 6, the Orioles didn't score any runs. All of a sudden, we had started playing the way we were, and most importantly, the bats had come alive.
I don't know that the Orioles felt pressure. I couldn't answer that for you, but I know that going into Game 7, the Pirates had their swagger back. Even though they were on the road, they got great momentum from winning the last 2, and they felt like, no problem, we're going to win this thing.
I'm attorney Mitch Dugan of Dugan & Associates. If you've been receiving workers' compensation payments, we may be able to get you a lump sum settlement that could help you get on with your life. Call Dugan & Associates, 888-99-DUGAN.
Hi, it's Jan from Toyota, working from home, like many of you. When you need us, Toyota's here to help.
Here in Pennsylvania, local Toyota dealers are focused on their associates and customers. Most remain open for your service needs, with enhanced efforts for cleaning and social distancing, and pickup and delivery service is available at some dealers. Feel free to also shop our inventory from the comfort of your home. We expect to be open for sales soon.
We're here for you now and in all the better days ahead. Toyota.
I'm attorney Mitch Dugan of Dugan & Associates. Have you been denied workers' compensation benefits? Are you at risk for losing your benefits? Are you interested in a lump sum settlement for your injuries? Call us at 888-99-DUGAN.
A man can only take so much loss, so much struggle, before he starts hitting back. Al Oliver suffered hits time and again.
Dad came home from work, kissed her on the cheek. She was cold.
The loss of loved ones early in life, speech issues, an underappreciated body of work, all things that can break a man. Or see him rise above. Oliver hit back in the best way he knew how. When he did, Oliver hit hard.
For hitting the ball hard consistently, Al had no equal.
He was just such a natural hitter.
Yet his greatest hit didn't come on a ball field.
Now, I'm going to say this. This might be a bold statement to make, but I'd like to speak with confidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, Al Oliver.
Watching him hit was a real treat.
Oh boy, he knew he could hit. He knew it.
The hard shot, that's what we call hard comfort. Bam!
Backward in the 9th inning. Oliver hits one down the line for a base hit.
He was a great hitter. He was one of the best hitters in the league. Everybody knew it.
I would just sit and be in awe.
The guy could hit on the moon.
If a pure hitter could be designed digitally, he would be compact, strong, with quick hands and great eyesight. The prototype for that design could be based off one man. Al Oliver was a hit machine. He punished thousands of baseballs. He's among a select club of players to hit a 300 career-plus average and collect at least 2,500 hits and not be in the Hall of Fame. How was Oliver able to call so many hits in the majors? Maybe because he suffered so many personal hits early in life. Oliver was brought up in Portsmouth, Ohio, a town bristling with baseball talent.
I was raised around a lot of great athletes. I was just one of the many great athletes. Some of us made it, other ones were overlooked. But ball playing.
We were probably 4 years old. We grew up approximately 3 blocks from each other, competed against each other.
The competition was stiff. And every time there was a basketball game, I was on one team and Larry was on the other. So we had to choose, you know, teams, because they never wanted Larry and I on the same team.
I think it was the greatest event to happen for both of us because we were able to compete against the best.
A future big league all-star himself, a young Larry Heisel picked up early hints that Oliver owned special gifts.
The Little League team that Al and I competed on awarded coupons redeemable at Dairy Queen. And my buddies and I, who were not bad players, every game would come home with maybe a soda or order of fries. And we'd have to watch Al leave Dairy Queen with 2 double cheeseburgers, 4 orders of fries, 2 shakes. And we realized then that he possessed things maybe we wish we could have possessed.
The foremost of Oliver's hard hits happened at age 11, coming home from a basketball game.
I turned the corner and saw all these ambulances there. And all of a sudden, I get into the house. And they told my sister and I to sit down, and because your mother has passed. Well, it was somewhat of a numbness to me. Because death, you don't have a total grip on it at 11, but I knew I wouldn't see her again. Dad came home from work, kissed her on the cheek. She was cold.
At just 33 years old, Sally Jean Oliver was gone, leaving a husband and 3 children, Al, Paula, and James. Oliver's father, Al Sr., became a driving force in his life. Al Sr. was an alternate to Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics and played basketball for the Harlem Globetrotters. He was a bricklayer, a strong personality, and a preacher.
He's the best person that I ever met and knew. Disciplined, firm, a physical specimen. He always had a lot of confidence in Junior, as he called me. Whatever I decided to do in life, he knew that I was going to make it.
Make it he would, but there were trials all along the way. Growing up, Oliver was challenged with stuttering issues.
He took it harder on himself than I think we did as his friends. And it relegated him from probably being by himself more than we would have wanted, and I'm quite sure he would have wanted himself.
I think earlier I tried to talk too fast. And Dad and Mom never knocked it. In other words, you know, I remember Dad saying, "Take your time, son. Take your time, son."
I think his brain worked faster than a lot of artists. He had things he wanted to tell you, and he wanted to get them out, and he wanted to get them out right now.
Even into his major league career, Oliver's speech patterns were as prevalent as his actions.
He used to say all the time, he said, some people hit when they can, I hit when I want to. That's what he used to say.
I know I can hit. I know I can hit.
I don't know about you, but today I'm going 4 for 4, 4 for 4. I thank you for that, Rook. I thank you. You know, that's the way Scoop would talk.
The lighthearted impersonations by his former teammates highlight how the issue was synonymous with Oliver's very being. Yet he found a way to make it useful.
Being by himself afforded him the opportunity to learn who he truly was, spend more time focused on his goals.
It became clear Oliver harbored towering ambitions.
Al Oliver's life took drastic divergent turns on the same day.
Although he didn't see me make it to the major leagues, but he always knew I was going to make it. There was never a doubt in his mind.
Hey, can I?
Safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Safe drivers save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe drivers save 40%.
That's Safe Drivers Save 40%.
It is. That's Safe Drivers Save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
What do Pittsburgh business owners say about Nartec Media Group?
Our business probably on referrals through advertising doubled. It is a relationship that almost feels like a member of your family, not just a business relationship. Good job, Nartec.
At Dugan & Associates, we fight for the check you deserve And at Nartec Media, they'll fight for the business you deserve.
Real clients, real results. Contact Nartec Media Group to get started.
If your shirt isn't tucked into your pants, are your pants tucked into your shirt?
When you're getting big-time results from your Constant Contact emails, it's okay to let your mind wander. Try email and our new website builder, free.
As a minor leaguer for the Pirates in 1965, Al Oliver was branded with a nickname that would last a lifetime, Scoop.
Hey, this guy can scoop the balls up out of dirt. They could not throw a ball by me if they had to. I just had this natural ability. Then the gunner, Bob Prince, he took over. Scoopsy. I was over in Germany 10 years ago. Autograph session. Scoops. I said, this has to be somebody from Pittsburgh.
How Oliver became a Pirate is a story in itself. On a tryout in Salem, Virginia, then Pirate scout Sid Thrift invited Oliver to dinner. When he walked in, Oliver's father was seated at the table.
All of a sudden, Sid started quoting scripture because he knew that my dad was a deacon in the church, and Dad enjoyed that. That was a good selling point. They really felt that these people were going to take care of his son because they were spiritual people. Now, I don't know if they were spiritual people or not, but that night they were, and it was good enough for Dad.
Al Sr. witnessed his son play only one pro baseball game in the minors.
He drove my car down to Gastonia, North Carolina. Do you know he saw me play one game? And do you know I went 4 for 4? That was the only game he ever saw me play as a professional. And so it was meant to be.
Al's father never saw his son reach the majors. On the same day Oliver was called up to the big leagues, a triumphant, dream-fulfilling event, his father died from complications of silicosis.
I got a call from my aunt. Said that, you know, Dad is getting weak and he may not make it through the night. I packed my clothes up and headed on to Portsmouth, which is 90 miles away. We were in the playoffs, and I knew that I was probably going to the major leagues, but I wasn't sure at the end of the season. But when I got to Portsmouth, I heard and got a call that said I was to report to the Pirates. Well, the next morning, at around 4:00 a.m., he passed. So it was a bittersweet. Came home, made funeral arrangements. After the funeral, I got in the car, my 1968 Riviera, and headed to Forest Field to become a major leaguer.
I know it motivated him. That if his father couldn't see him in person, he would be there in spirit. And what counted most now was to make his father proud. And I know every game that Al took that field, he took it with a vengeance to show his father that everything you did for me has made me the man I am today.
With his father gone at 54, Oliver, just 21 years old, strapped on a fatherly role to his sister and brother.
After the loss of his father, his mother many years before, they were dependent on Al. And Al helped out an awful lot. They stayed with a relative, but Al would help financially. He would be there to motivate and inspire them.
At the outset of his Pirates career, Oliver found himself in a first base platoon situation with another good young player, Bob Robertson.
And we both had a job to do. You know, he got picked sometime to play, I got sometimes picked to play. But I guess as a Pirate organization, that's what they thought was the best thing to do. And I think it hurt both of us tremendously.
We were two good first basemen, the same age. What were they going to do? They couldn't play us both at the same time. So what they had to do is trade one of us or change positions. And finally they saw I wasn't going to stop hitting. And Bob was an excellent first baseman with great power. He wasn't going to stop.
It hurt me, probably not as much as it did Al, as it turned out later on in his career. Because I swear he would have got his 3,000s hit. But it never happened.
Al Oliver emerges as one of the best hitters in the sport.
I think that Al Oliver was one of the best hitters, just pure hitters, that I've ever seen.
At Edgar Snyder & Associates, one of our favorite community partners is Variety, the children's charity. We support the My Bike program, providing adaptive bikes for kids with disabilities.
We also support Variety's My Voice program to help kids with communication disorders. Imagine if you couldn't speak. Imagine how frustrating it is for a child.
Visit EdgarSnyder.com to see how the My Voice program has changed the lives of Tyler and his family, and learn how you can help.
I would highly recommend Triangle Tech. It gave me a successful career. It was a lot of hands-on. You learned a lot of theory. There were a lot of labs, so you were actually working with the things you'd see in the field. I'd say it was important to get a degree because without it, you're not going to get much past an entry-level position anywhere. So a week after I graduated Triangle Tech, I was on my way to Detroit for training, and I was working.
Triangle Tech graduates are hired to do important jobs. No one trains you like Triangle Tech.
I had him for about 3 or 4 years, and you could tell he was going to be a good one.
To open up the roadblock at first base, the Pirates dealt former batting champion Matty Alou, clearing a starting spot for Oliver to make a unique position switch from first base to center field.
I knew that I had to make that adjustment in order for this team to win. That's why the pressure was on me. If I had not made that adjustment, they would have traded me.
Having to adjust to a position that's not your native position at the major league level, you have to be gifted.
On September 1st, 1971, Pirates manager Danny Murtaugh carved out a lineup that comprised solely of African American and Latin players, the first all-minority lineup.
Around the third or fourth inning, I had mentioned to Dave Cash, I said, Dave, you know what, man, we got all brothers out here. And Dave said, yeah, we really do, yeah, we do. And I know Danny Murtaugh was asked after the game, he said that he only posted up the best lineup that he thought that could win that night. But it was kind of ironic. Woody Fryman, who was kind of tough on me at times, that I started that night and Bob Robertson didn't. That was the key to us having an all-minority lineup that night. At the time, it didn't mean a lot, but now it means everything. When I look back, to be part of that history, it means a lot to me today. It really does.
Well hit, very deep to right. Look out, that's probably gone. It is a home run.
In '71, Oliver blasted a huge home run in the NLCS to help the Pirates win the 1971 World Series. A man who didn't drink, Oliver indulged in the celebration champagne.
I found my way back to my locker and sat down. I didn't want to get up because I didn't want the other players to see that I was staggering. Because see, if they would have seen it, they'd have loved it. I mean, they would have ate it up.
After 1971, Oliver started ripping the cover off the ball, initiating a streak of hitting 300 or better in 11 of the next 13 seasons.
Hit, he loved to hit. He lived to hit, and he could hit too. He hit very well.
Oliver was one of the greatest hitters I ever saw. He had that short, compact swing.
He was just such a natural hitter.
Al was a premier hitter, line drive hitter. He was a tough out for anybody. He put the ball in play with 2 strikes and never left a man at third base with less than 2 outs.
Al was honestly in a class all by himself.
Right center, left center. I mean, that was his neighborhood. That was Oliver Street.
The guy could hit on the moon. You can put this guy anywhere he could hit.
When he got hot, you didn't want to face Al Oliver.
If you worked him away, then he hit the ball the other way. If you worked him in, then he pulled the ball. So just a great all-round hitter.
The consummate pro about hitting a ball hard where it's pitched. Never buckled, never flinched, no fear.
Probably as pure a hitter as they come. Very contact oriented.
It was eye and hand coordination. That was something that I was blessed with. Quick hands. Could wait for a long time. and just have quick hands. That was the key.
The fact that he could wait so long and he could still be so quick was kind of a foundation of why he was so good.
I think that Al Oliver was one of the best hitters, just pure hitters that I've ever seen.
He was a great hitter. He was one of the best hitters in the league. Everybody knew it.
There was a relentless type of hit that came off of Oliver's bat.
He used to hit some line drives.
Line drive.
Line drive. It was line drive after line drive.
He hit vicious line drives.
I call him smoking line drives.
Great line drive hitter.
Line drives that off everybody. He hit more line drives, I think, than anybody.
Oliver made contact with baseballs like his bat was made of steel, not wood.
For hitting the ball hard consistently, Al had no equal.
The hard shot, that's what we call hard comfort. Bam!
His natural ability was to make contact firmly and hard, and there was always something on it. There wasn't no easy ground balls.
It would almost be like, what's he going to do now? How hard is he going to hit this one?
Remember Tommy John, great pitcher for the Dodgers. He hit a line drive, hit Tommy John in Pittsburgh on the front landing foot and went over the dugout, in the dugout like a double.
Tim Lawler, who was a hard-throwing left-hander, I'll never forget, I think he separated him from his hat 2 different times by line drives back at him. He was something.
Johnny Bench made a quote about Al Oliver. And the quote was, when Al Oliver is hitting, I wish I could put earmuffs on my ears because the sound is so deafening.
Often those smoking shots off Oliver's bat were directly at defenders.
He hit into a lot of bad luck, and he told me that he did. He used to call them atom balls. He says, I hit more atom balls than anybody in big league baseball year in and year out.
I ran into a lot of atom balls. I hit the ball exceptionally well since the All-Star break, but for some strange reason, the defensive ball players have been doing an outstanding job.
If he hit the ball hard, no matter where it was, he expected it to be a base hit. And the phrase that he hated the most